Okay. All right. Peace. The classroom is empty today. I've been here since 4 o'clock. So hopefully it'll fill up here, fill up everywhere. Either way, I'll have some stuff to say. You know what I mean? Go through some things. Today's mathematics. It's always hard for people to build on the mathematics. It's the double wisdom, double knowledge. You know, like you just repeat the same thing twice. Okay, so any questions? This is how we lead off. Whether students are in the classroom, then it begins. So here, uh, what do you, what questions do you have? What have you learned that you would like to ask of? What would you like to ask of me? Anything. There are very little questions that I don't answer. See a lot of ideas about how to be a 5%er all the time. People that once was the 5%. I get asked this question a lot, you know, and I think it's because as this knowledge has been out there so long, you know, what makes a valid 5%er? Our biggest vantage point is that people remember the lessons, but then there are 5%ers who continue to be 5%ers and they remember. They don't remember the lessons well. Or if you've really been around, people remember certain lessons some days and then they forget it the next day and then remember it again the next day. You know? Just like we do with a lot of things. Things you know, things you once knew. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people are older now getting the knowledge of self. They start to realize that they probably should have used what they saw as not being an ideal righteous person as the mere validation for the knowledge. Sounds easy to say in retrospect. When I got this knowledge, though, I knew that I would most likely see more people fumble than carry it. This is something I was told, but it was something I expected, you know? Um, so other people's reality with the knowledge didn't break my heart. It really didn't. There's no 5%er. There's none who could do something that would break my heart with the knowledge. I already understand how hard it is to deal with this. Right? So start off the class with a nice journal entry. A journal entry. You know? Just ideas like that. Right? Just like the degree says, they continue daily, so we continue daily. You know what I mean? The truth is that everything continues daily. Everything. When it says they continue daily, it really means that all things continue daily. If you stagnate, that will be a continuance of something. All things continue daily. Everything is everything. If you don't build, no one needed your build. If you build, your build well endowed and well done and useful. It was exactly what was needed. That's why I tell people when they're not in the classroom, I tell them you didn't miss anything. You weren't here. Who deserves to catch up to things that they missed? And if you feel you miss things, then now you devalue the time that you have spent. And that time really could have been horrible, horribly used, horribly managed. And yet you have to find some kind of way to place it in its context, to allow it either to be a ridiculous, an abnormal, an intense fire of instigation in you now, or you bask in regret. It'll be one or the other. Peace to the God substance. All right, be divine peace. Malik, peace God. Peace to the God King Kamal. All right. Any questions, I gotta say I can't really recap. Well, let me see. G1, you said you was doing the knowledge to Holcomb Rucker, the founder of the Rucker Park basketball tournament, whose history dates in Harlem from 26 to 64. His motto was each one teach one. He founded the tournament in 47. That's good information. It's good history. Interesting. Maybe. However, I will say this, though. This idea of the accumulation of teaching others, as in the idea of each one teach one, that was a thing of the time, too. You know what I'm saying? This idea of education to foment revolution was not something that was alone with the Father. I think in many ways, I would say that the Father redirected it to a teaching of the self, and took those revolutionary ideals, because this was an ideal that was, like, for example, already entrenched in Cuba, in many of the Latin American, revolutions, and how they would inspire the people. You know what I mean? And how would they be able to teach, though? They would be able to share it with one, and that would pass on and pass on and pass on. But the Father may have very well had a hand. Who knows? It certainly is a saying that is alike to what we deal with. Absolutely. Okay.
That's what you was talking about earlier?
I'm live, God.
Oh.
We'll build on it later.
Yeah, not even realize you were live already.
Yeah, it's live, so I don't give a fuck about that. I don't. Yeah. Peace to the earth. Yeah. King, you said today's math is wisdom. Wisdom, all being born to culture. Wisdom is applying your knowledge from education or experience, living your foundation out, or your knowledge through actions. That's peace. Indeed, you want. Yeah, more research on that. Definitely. Malik, you said, what made the Father grab 120 and not the rest of the problem book? Did he see it as the best part? I certainly think that what he saw as the best part. If you ever read the problem book, I'm glad he didn't get that shit. I didn't. I don't know if I would be so keen to be 5% though if I had to memorize the problem book. Because I think it has a lot of gibberish in it.
What do you mean gibberish?
Things that are not applicable to like a daily like analysis. You know what I
So
mean?
stuff that's like overly metaphysical type of.
Absolutely.
You can bend the spoon, but now what do you eat your cereal with?
Yeah, kind of like that though. Yeah, kind of like that. You know, I never was a fan of the problem book, so I'm glad he didn't take that. You know, because I'd have been like,
Would have been a very different culture.
I get through all of like actual facts, solar facts, and then just the problem book. And I'm like, because when I first saw the problem book, I had knowledge 120 already.
Okay.
And when I saw it, I was like, oh man, I'm glad this shit wasn't in there.
What, like, do you remember any of it?
Not off top, you know what I'm saying? But it's not problems like, let's say if a guy is riding a train at this amount of time.
No, yeah, I figured it's not
those
that
kind
bad.
of problems and shit like that. But it's like, okay, I get what you're saying, but some questions, I don't know what the problem is.
Are there solutions in a separate book?
Yeah, like the solution book, right?
Long way to see it.
See, that would get you kicked out of the NOI.
I think a lot of the stuff that I do would get me kicked out of the NOI.
Like, anybody got the solution book on them? Like, yeah.
Not a lot of Mel Brooks fans in the NOI.
Oh shit! But yeah, the solution book would help. Yeah. I have it though. I'm gonna look through it though. You know what I mean? And maybe I'll talk about it the next session though. But, there's nothing in there about who the black man is, like the detail.
Okay.
So it's not like what you would think was missing in 120. Like when people
It's like completely unrelated.
Right. Yeah, it doesn't really. It doesn't have extra things about the devil and devil civilization, which is the prime crux of 120, right? So it's not really like that. You know what I'm saying? And it's not like, unless somebody tells me, I have never heard anybody build on it. But for me personally, I just didn't get an understanding out of it where I could really use this and stuff like that. At first I did. I thought like, yo, this could be a real add-on because at the time everything was blowing me away. Like everything was amazing. But then I realized like I'm putting more meaning into it as opposed to it being understanding. I'm drawing on.
Okay.
It's more like I'm
You're
giving it a meaning.
Giving it a meaning.
It's a lot different. It's the difference between when I say like when you build on the map or you build on how you're the true living God or earth and you're explaining the shit as opposed to proving, and that's why like the root of that is people saying the same stuff, wise words, spoken shit.
I try to avoid those types.
Right. This is why I was saying as I started, I like the days that are double doubles. You know what I mean? Because you get the one person that is repeating and he literally doubles up the build.
I got C King now. He's probably watching this. Sun God student in Puerto Rico. So now when he's giving me his daily math, it's like one sentence. He's like, yeah, I'm doing it your style. He called it a real style build. I said, nah, that's Jizza. I got to give credit to Jizza for that. Half short, twice strong.
Right, half short, twice strong, yeah. Which is rooted in the firstborn prince style because you couldn't be here expounding, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I won't say who, but there were great legend builders that he would be like, it was like,
I would have liked him.
yeah. Because, like, they were all real people. A lot of the older gods we all revere, but they all had such different styles that some of them rolled their eyes at others.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, we all think Ornette Coleman was on some next shit, but Miles Davis was like, whatever, that's some dumb shit. Like, you know what I mean?
I'm finding a lot of the time when people try to sound profound, they really miss the target of being profound. It just sounds really good.
Yeah.
I call those Jim Jones builds.
Yeah, I mean,
I feel like it's leading up to
there are guys that build, they have like a whole 40-minute build about something. And I'm not talking about bullshit.
It's a very important thing.
I'm not talking about bullshit. I'm talking about something really, really great. But like, for example, Firstborn Prince was never into that. And never into it if you were building. He did not want to hear all that shit.
Just cut to the chase.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Yeah, I don't need all the.
He didn't even want to hear a long question. So like, don't have trouble articulating your question, When you ask him.
You ever hear of Nasruddin? Because that kind of reminds me of like the Nasruddin style. Where, so, in the stories of him, it's not clear whether he's a genius or an idiot, but he always drops the jewel of the story in like this really simple, you know what I mean? And the stories will be like short, but they're like, he'll say the point simply, but it's like a really, you know what I mean? Like one of them is like a student sees him walking around outside looking for something. He's like, oh, what are you looking for? And he's like, oh, I'm looking for my keys. And he's like, oh, did you lose them out here? And he goes, no, I lost them in the house. The student's like, then why are you looking out here? And he's like, because the light is better. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's really stupid, but it's making a really deep point.
Right. Maybe the problem book is like that. You know what I'm saying? It's definitely got more light on it though, but the keys are not in
Yeah,
it.
keys aren't there.
Yeah.
So, well, like, he wrote it before or after Ring Wisdom?
I don't remember.
You don't know the chronology of it?
Yeah. I did. I think when I had it, it said it though. You know what I'm saying? But I don't remember.
I know I've been hearing about that book for years, like very revered, holy tome that it is.
I'm gonna keep it real though. The people that revere it though, the people that don't build for shit. They're not building things. Yeah, but they're more excited that there's something that's more esoteric, because one of the things that, unlike other spiritualities that engage Harlem, we're not as esoteric. We don't get that obsessed with that.
I thought that was kind of the point.
Right.
To not be so esoteric.
Yeah. But people like that though.
We're teaching everything is tangible.
Yeah, right. So, but they're selling that shit heavy here. You know what I'm saying? That's what they sell here. You know. So
comes with crystals.
Yeah, crystals. Comes with everything. Dashikis, dreadlocks, everything. Right.
It's a bundle.
Yeah. The bundle. Somebody's going, look at these spics out of here. But all right. Yeah, so definitely not. You know what I'm saying? The only person to mention the problem book, though, which I never bear witness to him as a source, is Abu Shahid, because he was saying that a lot of the mathematics, though, he derived, and he's the influence, and it was because he was using the problem book. And if he was using the problem book, it's such a reach. It's Manute Bol reach. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's reaching so far. It's crazy. And I just don't see it. And I've never been in agreement with all of the major things that are important. I never agreed with Abu Shahid. You know what I mean? And honestly, when I was still young with this knowledge, like for me, I just wanted to teach what I knew right. So I never challenged anyone on history and things like that, because that wasn't my place with the other elders here that lived that history.
Yeah.
But I never bear witness to what he was saying. And I disagreed heavily with a lot of his other understanding, which made me throw out a lot of his historical,
Trying to separate the two.
claims. Yeah, his historical claims, I threw all that shit out because of that. You know what I'm saying? Look, I got mad. I actually dropped the sweater. But Harmony, you said hip hop spaces. Yeah, we have to do some of those, you know. Yeah, I want to thank everybody that I was actually on. It was yesterday. I saw something I didn't like, and Duck Down had shared it. Duck Down had shared like.
It was a hip hop thing that you didn't like.
Yeah. It's not like Day-Sun. I'm about to hit you. But Day-Sun don't tell you those that I hit him too. So.
He hits me too.
Yeah. So we have
like a circle.
Yeah, the cycle going. Yeah. The Three Stooges. Yeah. You're definitely curly in this whole thing.
I'm glad I'm not low.
Yeah. But like, no, they had said something. I see these white guy and this other brother, and they're talking about Sean Price, and that's why they shared it, though. It was honoring Sean Price, and they're talking about this so-called Renaissance that they are calling it, and I'm like, I'm the one that made that shit up. and then they're saying like the movement. They say a lot of wrong shit, and just I was.
But like
I was
Renaissance
I was
something
in-
been pushing heavy though.
Yeah, but I was in my shark biter skit, and I wasn't feeling it though. I didn't want people using my words, shining my words ahead of time. So
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You've been using that word specifically.
I know I wrote
Yeah.
books with the title. So so I responded to that. You know what I'm saying? And the brother at Dug Down was really peace though, and he let me. He said, "Could you make a video response explaining this movement and what you've done?" You know what I'm saying? So I did, and he shared that. But before that, because that aired today.
So the insult was maybe
Before that,
unintentional?
I went online. I went online on an IG live, and I just like I wailed, I ranted and shit. You know what I mean? And I went in, and it was nice. It was fun, but
It's fun to rant on that.
yeah, it was fun to rant. So the good thing about that is that everybody supported me with that. You know what I'm saying? And again, a lot of the MCs in Dug Down know who I am. They know what I've done. You know what I'm saying? I've done documentation of them that is unique. Everyone that I built. So it was peace. And I didn't say this yet, but I'm actually going to be doing now a weekly segment with Dug Down.
Oh, really?
Where I highlight an album. You know,
Oh, that's actually
give it
dope.
my own.
So then
build.
the Renaissance thing, it really was unintentional. They weren't just.
No, not that.
taking
No,
it
they didn't do that as dark.
Oh,
Yeah.
they
No,
shared
they
somebody
were sharing
else
it because
saying
it was
Okay.
positive about Sean Price.
Gotcha,
You know what
gotcha.
I mean? Yeah, it wasn't a dark at all. So my beef was never with Dug Down. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
Right. And they
So you can be doing.
couldn't have known that.
You can be doing a weekly segment.
Yeah.
That's dope.
So I'm looking forward to that. You know what I'm saying? And give it my thoughts that are different. You know what I'm saying? And challenging. You know. But
Smith and Wesson's first album was the album that I learned how to play bass to.
That's dope.
Yeah.
That's dope. That had great bass lines.
Mhm.
Shit. Yeah, a lot of those songs are defined by the bass line too.
Yeah, that was my beginner
Yeah, that's
beginner album to get me to learn my way around the neck and how to work the strings and all that. I actually met Tech when I was about 16. I've been playing bass for 2 years, and I told him, "Oh shit, I learned how to play this thing to you guys' album." And he kind of just turned off to the side and just looked really cool for a minute, and then my friends started singing that song on the album about Dick Ryder.
really, that's the one that they.
That's the one that they chose to sing.
So real, you've always rolled with a gang of hooligans, you know.
Yeah, if you don't have a sense of humor, you can get tired of me real quick.
Yeah.
It's not going to be good friendship.
Yeah. I'm thankful because I went on that rant though, and a lot of people that got love for me was really, rooting for me and throwing it out there and advocating, including the brothers that I know that are in Dug Down, was letting them know, like, so that's peace. You know what I mean? Because yesterday I really was on my Frank White. I was like, you guys got fat. You know what I mean? But, that's how I feel when you running with my words. You know what I mean? You guys got fat. You know what I mean? That's how I feel. I still feel that way. So it's now the Frank White, and yesterday was the start of summer officially. So me and the guy AP, we've been saying it's a Frank White summer. So I'm coming for all the shit that's due me.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's a big summer.
Yeah. Like there should be dead bodies of it. There's a lot that's owed me. You know what I'm saying? It's like, but we'll get some of it this summer. You know what I mean? But so we'll hip hop spaces and things like that. We'll be, we'll get on that too. No, that's peace, God. Yeah, understood, God. I see you, King. Do for self, peace. All right, Crypto Ocho. You said Harmony says, speaking of Jim Jones, shout out to Pusha T.
Oh shit.
That's funny.
That's not the Jim Jones that I met.
Yeah.
I met the other one with the Kool-Aid.
So I'm going to take a wild guess here because I don't follow the beefs until like they're ad nauseum. I'm going to assume that Jim Jones got cooked, because I just remember seeing him get cooked by Jadakiss on stage. You know,
I
so
mean, that was one of the best hip hop performances of all time, though. Like, I think he would have cooked most MCs with that performance. Like, that was KRS-One
yeah, they
at
was
his
they
prime.
but it wouldn't have happened with anybody else because they wouldn't have been so they sensed blood the whole time.
Oh yeah,
Like
were
they
definitely
knew
sharks.
that, yeah, you know, especially Jadakiss. Oh,
The
shit.
importance of rehearsal, right?
Yeah, yeah. Again, though, I don't give much credit though. This scorching, average rappers. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, Abu Shahid's book though was edited by bloodsuckers, and it was a form to promote an alternate history. And somewhere in an alternate universe, Abu Shahid did everything, but not this one. You know what I'm saying? Not.
Are we in Earth One, or are we
Yeah, like
in the alternate? Like,
yeah, like this would be Earth One. So
you sure about that?
in the alternate, yeah, in the alternate universe, yeah, you know. Malik, you said right discernment and precise movement being divine in action. I see the build. I see that. All right. Peace to the guy Kasim. All right. Uh the God Rim, that's my brother. You know what I'm saying? And we build all the time. You know what I mean? So um, I appreciate him to infinitely. You know what I'm saying? And it's crazy because when people vouch for me, they're not, you're not getting a personality that's getting in there to talk some shit. Like I'm talking about the music that should be talked about. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, that is kind of what you're known for.
Yeah. So
Is like,
yeah.
whenever I go to your articles, I'm always like, all right, now let me find out about some shit that I've never heard of before.
Right. Yeah.
Go figure out
Right. Yeah.
what new hip hop.
You know, when
when
I started writing though, part of the ability to flex the pen, I used to write pieces. This is when me and Day Sun were at Brew College and we wrote for the school paper. A lot of our experiments we did in the school paper, like and I would write pieces that would just destroy like whack R&B acts or whack rappers that I thought were whack. Like,
and R&B is really that whole genre to me. It pisses me off.
Right, but we would do wordplay, we would fuck around with it, all that kind of stuff. Like I remember I took this. I don't want to say who it was because I can't remember. But he had like a Kango on.
So you do want to say?
It was a.
I want to say who it was.
Right, yeah.
Fuck that nigga's name.
Yeah. But he made like a whack R&B rap single, exploiting a sample that shouldn't have been, shit like that. And I looked at his R&B single cover, and I wrote a piece about analyzing the cover and how it gives clues to how whack he is. How he tilted his hat, how he put this, how he put that. And it was because I've been working at all our recordings, the home of Latino artists, and I was seeing all types of bullshit in there. So I was kind of applying what I was seeing there.
No, but that's true though. Like
So
they say,
because
you can't judge a book by its cover, but I find that to not be true.
That's what they were doing. So I was like, yo, this is how I'm gonna judge the book by its cover. You know what I mean? Yeah, because I was at other places and I saw people pop open magazines and say, what do you want to look like? And the guy gives it to them. What do you want to look like?
That's crazy.
Yeah, they literally opened it up and said, look, what do you want to look like? And they're all looking through the magazine and like, I want to look like that.
You want one nipple exposed?
Yeah, I want to. These are young men going, I want to look like that. And I was like, oh my goodness. It was it was like Man Barbie. It was Marby. It was like.
And the gangster edition.
Yeah. It was like, Barbie's gushing over, It was crazy. You know what I mean? But, now with these books and I'm covering hundreds of albums, I don't really spend too much time talking about what's whack, unless I'm trying to show the contrast.
Or if you got money to make.
Yeah. But obviously the algorithms won't allow my diss to Jay-Z become viral. So
I mean
that won't,
It's rare that a Brooklyn dude has anything negative to say about Jay-Z. Like for that alone, I salute you.
I know. Yeah, I'm a rarity. I'm a rarity. I've been the anomaly since I sold my Reasonable Doubt album, and I know people find
Oh
that.
wow!
I did, yeah.
Wow, you are not fucking around.
I did. I had the promo copy. No, it wasn't like it was edited or it had no curses. You know, where you don't want it anyway. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? But when we and Jason were at Brew, Discorama was nearby. You know, you could sell CDs, right?
Yeah.
So I would just take CDs, steal CDs, bullshit CDs, and collect them all. And then, because we would get sent lots of albums, free and shit. So I would collect the whack shit and then sell them and get an album. You know what I mean?
Nice shit.
So with Reasonable Doubt, I did that. You know what I'm saying? Because to me, he was just the nigga rhyming.
Where do you put that in relation to CNC Music Factory's nominal debut? I don't know the name of the album.
CNC Music Factory. I don't even know. Yeah. Because when I hear it now, I laugh though, so it's enjoyable.
But it does make people dance. Like
Yeah,
there's a white woman right now at a bar doing that swingy thing that they do.
Yeah.
You know the dance move I'm talking about. And
that and
to
techno
everybody
trying to
dancing.
pump up the jam, right?
No, hold on. Say what you want about a lot of things.
See how
But you leave pump up the jam out of it. I'm still Puerto Rican.
Yeah, I know. I'm testing you.
I've gotten a lot of extracurricular activity to that song playing in the background.
Say no more. Yeah, I get you. You know, but nah. It was more so because at the time though we thought I thought again when I got the album I thought it was a low budget Cubans.
I mean, that's kind of what it is, though.
And that's what it is. But you could appreciate it for that. But I didn't want to.
Well, I mean,
to me, he was the guy that already was on my shit side because he was biting Das Effects back with original flavor.
Yeah.
So I already was like, wait a minute, this is 2 strikes.
Yeah.
To me, it was 2 strikes. Oh, and the third strike was Ain't No Nigga. Sampling EPMD. Because you know they didn't sample the 7 minutes of funk. They were sampling EPMDs the way they used it. You know what I mean? And speeding it up a little bit.
But Jay-Z, he's never been like an artist that's about the making of art, and even when he takes risks, they're not that risky.
That's true.
You know what I mean? It's about as risky as adding bubbles to wine.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, well, this work?
But again, that was the standard that I had.
Yeah.
So,
but he's always been kind of like he knows the formula of how to make a hit song.
I do think that Reasonable Doubt is a classic record, but it's a lower tier classic of '96 because 1996 was loaded. It was loaded. But I'm the only Brooklyn nigga that says that Atlians is way better than
it is. No, it is.
Yeah.
I mean, but the Outkast has been, that's every musician's dream, is their career. Like, to start off with a platinum hit, and then each album not only be better sonically, but also outsell the last album.
Right.
And then you get to be as experimental as you want, and no one ever accused. Like, you can't accuse Andre of selling out because what did he sell out to? He did a Prince album. Like, that's not selling out. That's making a genre of music that there was no demand for. No one was standing around demanding an updated Prince album.
That pop song he did, what was it?
The Hey Ya?
Yeah.
But nobody, like, selling out is like when, okay, so like Das Effects is popping, and you go, I'm gonna sound like Das Effects.
I get where you're going though, but
and then Cuban Links is popping, and you go, I'm gonna sound like
I
Cuban
don't see it
Links.
that way. I don't see it that way. To me, crossing over, it just needs a level of buffoonery to overcome that. And I saw it as total buffoonery. You know what I mean? Add that to when he was on the award show and he was in a teepee. They had a Native American teepee and he dressed like that and he was singing that song.
Yeah, that was a little bit much, but
yeah. So that was my ultimate proof, you know. So
they also fumbled. They had an opportunity at the Super Bowl to perform Rosa Parks, and chose to pass on that and do something else.
Yeah, but yeah, either way, they're gold to me for the first 3 albums anyway. But
I mean, I like all of it. I like Speaker Box. I like The Love Below. I like Stank On You. I like all of it. Even that
you know what,
movie
though?
sound.
Just because of what they did with the first 3 albums, I'll revisit it one day.
because it's not hip hop. Like the Idlewild soundtrack, it's not hip hop.
But if I'm looking at it as hip hop though, which I was then, because I'm sorry,
hip hop expectations.
Our ears are more rigid. People don't get how hard it is to judge music though when it was coming out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Especially when it was progressive like that. You know what I'm saying?
And also, like, one thing I like about Dre is that he doesn't give you what the demand is for. He gives you what he wants to do at the time.
No, I get what you're saying there.
As opposed to like my favorite MC, I think, strictly gives you what the demand is. Ghostface. He only gives you what the demand is for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he just gives you unadulterated Ghost on every song, even though it's like he's saying the same shit over and over. Sometimes literally the same verse on 3 different songs, but he gives you like what the demand is for.
Yeah. But I always get to absolve myself though, like with King though. He said he liked Love Below, but see, King, this is why you write the hooks and the choruses, and I can't write a chorus for shit.
You gotta just listen to a lot of Prince and Wear Purple and let it just seep into you.
I do, yeah. I don't listen to a lot of Prince, even though I have every Prince record.
That's weird.
I don't listen to it. I have a lot of stuff.
Put it on that often.
Yeah, I don't put it on as much as people would think.
But
most soul I listen to is still seeped in the 60s and 70s. That's what I love. You know?
Yeah, and that Prince is super 80s.
Yeah. So
I usually put on Prince when I have like a girl in the house and I want her to start dancing, like at me, not for me, like aggressively dancing at me, like it's a threat almost. And then all of a sudden, like when I want that zone created, it's just don't have to be me to be my girl.
another example why Rio is the #1 rabble rouser in the classroom. Only Rio says shit like that.
Listen,
I didn't hear the Killer Mike yet, but I'm late on a couple of weeks though because I'm finishing the book. I'm late. The lyric book I'm finished. I finished it, but I'm late now because of all this. Yeah. That's peace. Yeah, so right now we only have the online. All you people here listening, I want to hear your questions, whatever you have about anything. You know what I'm saying? And then let me know. You know what I'm saying? So we can build on the math or any of the degrees that people have on, or any of the applications. You know what I mean? Last week I was in a whole build about the show and prove, but I feel like me and Darkim have exhausted that during this week.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
I can imagine
Yeah,
that.
exhausted that ad infinitum.
The never-ending shitstorm that is the parade of people who want to chew a hole in that man's ear.
Yeah, but it was peace though. But that's why I get frustrated, because I would like people that have this knowledge for a long time not to use the services of the school, but to actually give some to the school.
But the services of the school was really supposed to be directed at a youth outreach.
Yeah.
And then everybody who's above a certain age is supposed to be servicing the school.
Yeah.
Which sounds worse than it is servicing. That's not how I mean it. I mean, like, push them out.
Yeah. Adding on in any way and shit like that.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, like, there's no toilet paper. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, somebody go run and get toilet paper.
Yeah.
Had I known, I would have brought some on my way over here.
Right, exactly that. That's exactly what I mean. Yeah. That's peace, Oh, you had a troll reach out to you about using All Being Born. Yeah. I don't know what people... I haven't heard a good argument why it shouldn't be used. Like, why would we eliminate a tool to get a better insight to how we combine principles. I don't know why we would
Okay,
eliminate.
so what do they say that you're supposed to say instead of like wisdom, or women coaching?
What they usually say, I'm gonna answer your question in a minute, God. What they usually say is that the new thing is to say that that's not what the Father did, even though every single elder from firstborns on taught us to do it. You know what I'm saying? Then they say that older arguments that I do understand is that it's not really math to add up, a number and then it equals something. So the number 22 equaling 4, right?
No, but that is how we do the math, though.
Right. But 22 isn't 4. That's their argument.
Oh, but there's a word for that system. I forget
Right. The
word.
emphatic system.
Yeah, emphatic.
Yeah. But they don't know that.
Emphatically, no.
Right. Yeah. Emphatic. Yeah. Emphatic. The emphatic system. Yeah. But see, say that in cipher though. It'll really help. Right? Guys, with school testing. There are like a million reasons why you get called that. Right?
Yeah, that ass.
It shows up like every
Yo, me and Jason stay calling each other that shit.
But like, so they say that, and it makes sense and everything like that. But they've coupled it lately with the idea that the Father didn't teach that, and that's why. I know.
So we're just let's just say, for the sake of argument, that he didn't. Are we supposed to stay stagnant and only do things?
Right, and that's the point that I bring up as well. I disagree with that as far as him not teaching that. However, it's such a valuable tool because coupling principles is very difficult. You know what I'm saying? And the truth is that there is no numerical combination. There's no combination of any of these principles that shouldn't and can't be put together. So the principles can be coupled in 2s and into 3s under any combination. It should have some relevance and insight if you understand the principles and live them out. You know what I mean? So anything that's born, when you do it, they all should have some logic to it.
Man, I thought that was kind of the point of the daily exercise, is to go,
exactly.
So
why would
how do these two principles? Because it's only 9 days when it's only one principle, right? Just how do these two principles?
And what's in general, people that fight that the most, their builds on the days that are doubled up, 2 numbers, are some of the poorest I've seen. They show very little insight to what, and they all I hear are 2 separate builds. You know, like, so it'll be, because today's doubled up, but they'll say wisdom is this and knowledge is that, and then that's it. So what? There's no coupling. So the point of the exercise is kind of lost, you know? Now, there are people that can build on it, but I'm talking about the people that argue that it was never done. They're the poorest builders of the bunch. And that's why they're doing this. They're not doing this because they got verification from this person or that person. They can't build. They can't build. Not one person has stepped up to me since I've been doing this, and it's logged on to video. It's out there. No one steps to me in the suit during show and prove. Certain people I disagree with and stuff, I actually walked around looking for them, and I didn't. So when you saw me stray away, that's where I was going.
I got some sorrow. Anybody want some sorrow?
Oh, no,
No, thank you.
Peace.
And I was walking around. I couldn't find them. I didn't say they ran away from me, but it just didn't. It didn't happen.
So happened to be indisposed of.
Yeah. They
How
were
convenient.
Yeah. So they're running from little old me. Right, but it's okay. Yeah, they called you a jive pretender. That's crazy. Sounds like we got another skit in the making here, you know. And they say Allah didn't teach that, and they never say which firstborn didn't, because every firstborn that I knew that was alive asked me to do that.
I've never heard it not done that way. Like,
firstborn Prince said, "How you see today's mathematics, though?" And then you know what I mean? And he wasn't like, "Why are you born it? Why are you doing that?" You know what I mean? I've seen people literally correct it to properly born it. You know what I mean? And properly say it the right way. So it's like, and this isn't a Mecca or Medina thing, because it was happening when I was in Medina and Mecca.
I know Jay Son follows the same rule that I follow. Like, it's math. You have to show your work. You can't just give me an answer.
And that's the thing,
I
though.
need to see
This
the math.
way, with the people that argue that, they don't have any work. They're just giving you the definition separately.
That's corny.
So what is the difference between 22 and 2? There is none. You know what I'm saying? And I think that the exercise is great, though. For you to figure out, though, how wisdom, the wise words of one and the wise actions of another can actually become a culture. You know what I'm saying? So it's endlessly valuable to me. You know what I'm saying? Right. Some people weren't taught to use that, or they don't use that, and they feel that it's not the best way to. You know what I'm saying? But everybody that has a valid reasoning, like the God Powerful, man, he has builds for everything. He has builds that manifest to the degrees. So, but it's this lately people that, you know, they want to change stuff or they want to extra establish things. You know what I'm saying?
Pissing contest mentality.
It's always a pissing contest, right?
I know. Everywhere except for the bathroom.
Let's see if I had it. All right. Kasim, you was asking about. Oh wait, I missed it. Where is it? Speak on today's degree in the 1 to 40 and how to apply it, though. That degree, how old was the founder, though? A lot of people talk about this discovery of unlike attract and unlike repel. You know what I'm saying? That this is the principle, that whatever they was going to create, it was the mentality that they were exploiting a people that was dissatisfied, a people that was different and discontent, and that those people, right, would be able to rule those who are alike. You know what I'm saying? And the main part of that jewel is the piece with the magnetic and the piece without. You know what I'm saying? Either way, those pieces are attracted to each other. So, in essence, though, when you made the unalike, when Yakub made the unalike, he attracted the piece that was with the magnetic. By doing that, it's almost like the unalike becomes the piece with the magnetic. You see?
Well, that's kind of how politics works, though. Right? The popularity contest for who has more magnetic personality.
Right.
They're not actually a reflection of who their support is. Right? Otherwise, Republican candidates would look like Republican voters, and they don't. You know what I'm saying?
You know what's interesting is that politicians at their worst, though, they draw up people's possibilities of what could be, the possibilities. And that's what Yakub was doing with the unalike. You know what I mean? So the principle is this unalike. It doesn't mean that he was discovered this at a baby. God's telling me that he discovered this at 6. That means he's 33, right? But the idea is that the principle, he didn't invent the principle, he discovered it. And this is his insight to that principle, how to manifest it. And he manifested it. I hope that begins to answer the question.
Did you just solve the problem?
I know I could have, right?
Solution set separate.
But yeah, that first sentence, right, of that degree is the most important. The discovery of the unalike attract and alike repel. You know what I mean? Right? And playing with 2 pieces of steel, you know what I'm saying? That's important too, because the playing part means he's experimenting. He's a scientist, experimenting with high explosives, playing with them, seeing the possibilities. for a while, do for self. People have been bugging about all being born, and again, it's not that there always been people that don't care to use it, but these are people that are saying that, and that's incorrect. That's 100% incorrect. You know what I mean? I actually went, so many of our elders died, but I actually went on a little tour with axe elders, though, about did the father deal with this, did that, and I would ask, and it was like, yeah, we always, and this became a thing because I talked about it with Infmega too, and he started to ask elders, and we found no one that was saying that this was not taught.
It's a really specific thing. Like it would be kind of
and I think it's
hard to imagine
it's because
just working itself.
Some of the people that are saying this though are actually vigilant, and that's good. And they've been vigilant about teaching this outside, but they want to amass lots of students.
So they have to come with something.
And it's not like the old school. People get upset. It's not like the old school. You don't get students immediately. You're not always rolling with the students. You know what I'm saying? It's different. They're more homebound. They're more app bound. They're more technology bound.
You're so older.
You don't have even if you did with the younger, you don't have that grasp that you could have on them the way it used to be. You know what I'm saying? They get more propaganda, right?
Yeah.
Today's young get more propaganda though. You know what I'm saying? Because they're getting apps directly. And then now think about it. Some young kid, like we haven't looked at their phone. Some young kid with a phone just like us, they're getting algorithms that must be nuts, God. Like specifically designed to them. Like we control ourselves. We know what we're dealing with, what we're not. But imagine all the things that get pumped to them to try to click on and shit like that. Their algorithms must be like just straight, evil. You know what I'm saying? My algorithms are in control.
I mean, mine's like literally just sneaker and hat ads.
Yeah, like I mainly get for some reason I get a lot of Polo, Ralph Lauren.
Gee, I wonder why.
Right, so they're in control because I keep checking too. I keep going like that every time. But the thing about it is that it changes the way you taught, because I keep saying this, like, and this is what, if people have issues with me, or if they don't, it's because they notice what's different in the way my life of teaching. I don't have to just teach out in the street, so I don't have to roll with people to teach them.
Yeah.
I don't even have to live with you. So you could come back to me and I can continue to teach. You know what I'm saying? And I have places for you to contact me. So I've adapted and I'm very suitable for this world. Mm-hmm. Whereas they're teaching in the street, so they have to get people that already, even if the 85 is unlike to you in many respects. That's why you teach them. But they have to be unlike to you in some respect because you're going to roll with them.
Yeah.
So let's say if we add like the illegal component, which was in a lot of this reality, they got to be loyal. They got to be about shit, shit like that. They got to be a soldier in some respect. Yeah. And that'll translate to getting them to be righteous. Well, in this case, so I don't need those prerequisites. I can teach anybody.
But then that's why a lot of people.
Right. That's what happens.
No,
but I think taking away the all being born to, it's a way to simplify things. Like I'm not getting that many people to stick with it. I could get them through it faster. When I teach, though, I have no speeds. I have no speeds with students.
Yeah, I noticed the speeds.
And I don't.
Listen, like this.
I figured out a long time ago that the way to have my own sanity is to give zero fucks about the speed at which a student. You know why? Because I'm going to be here next week.
Yeah.
And if they want to live off that, right, they'll be pushed out because they're older, and I'm focusing on younger people or people that really want to build, right? But more so, I care that what is taught is so well known that they can do things with what is little known. Yeah. The little bit that they know to do something great with it, as opposed to knowing everything and being very mortal with it. Mm. You know what I'm saying? And I people don't want to hear this though, but I have taught many students, God, that already have 120, and they don't know nothing about it. Mm. They could quote 120, but they didn't really learn anything about it. You know what I'm saying? And that's a quickly fleeting 120. It's like an actor just did a play that he's not going to do again.
Yeah.
Shit's going away quickly. You know what I'm saying? And they're looking to understand because certain teachers was giving them the whole 120. People that I love, that's why I'm not saying it now. Right? They're giving them the whole 120, or they took them through 120 so they could say, I have a student. I got a black seed, brown seed, yellow seed. You know what I'm saying? I got all this. I got from here. I got this borough, that borough. But I'm here teaching, knowing that the whole point is not who gives a shit about my stats. I'm going to be here every week.
Yeah.
So I can teach them, take time with mathematics, because if a student says, you know what, this shit is not for me, because you know what? A lot of times, God, people is not going to be a 5%, not because they don't see themselves as God, but because they can't say that they're God. They don't know how to go say it.
Yeah.
And they certainly don't know how to go prove it, and they don't know how to share it. So they're basically not good teachers. And not everybody's a teacher.
Yeah, I mean, to build a nation, imagine if the government only hired teachers. Like, we didn't have no military, we didn't have no, like sanitation department. Like, none of that exists. It's just they only hired teachers. Like, you either teach ELA to third graders or you go fuck yourself.
Right, but in the nation, though, not being a teacher is a title, like, you're like saying, like, you feel devalued. You know what I'm saying? And that's not my problem.
Some things people could teach.
And it's not my problem, though, because I happen to be good at that. You know what I'm saying? And people don't know how to take a role. You know what I'm saying? God, how many people you hear? How many people come in to actually build it? Versus how many people you see on a daily basis go, oh, this should be like this. This should
and then
be
leave.
Right. And then they leave, though. You know what I mean?
Well, I always had a rule in my house. The person who complains the loudest is responsible for fixing the problem.
Right?
So it's like,
Yeah,
you like it?
if you're complaining about the floor being dirty, then it's your turn to broom. It's your turn to sweep. You know what I mean? But throughout my years here, the loudest people complaining, you know what I mean? The loudest people saying, oh, there needs to be class by this. I have people say, like, no disrespect.
And then follow with something immensely disrespectful.
No disrespect, though, but, you shouldn't be the only one that's teaching you. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, that wasn't my call. The fuck you telling me that for?
Yeah, but
that's not my call. And I'm not here Friday, Saturday, you could still sing that song. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Just leave out Thursday, because there's all the other days are free. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
But there's classes on Saturday.
Right, there's classes on Saturday. Like, there's mad space, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's, technically you could bring stuff all the time. But I feel that they're not good builders. And so they simplify it, and they keep simplifying it to where now you can't even bring someone into an exercise that is vital. That I think is vital. I think it's vital.
There's people just trying to do
unless you have there are a few teachers like the God Powerful that can teach these principles in supreme math without having to bore them and show how they couple, how they have continuity, how they have connection, all these kind of things, right? But others don't. And I know that the pitfalls of all being born aren't even. I know it's bullshit because the pitfalls that I see with that exercise aren't even brought up. Because all being born sometimes has pitfalls because you start to make statements though that you haven't proven.
Mm.
Remember, because wisdom, all being born, the culture. Now you're saying that's true though, but now you're justifying the statement and not really building with the statement.
I mean, to build with that statement is to prove that statement, right? Because if I talk and you talk, and now we are both talking about a thing, we are now developing a culture based on
right. But
that,
for this,
like the conversation.
You just said that for this
today.
particular day's degree, right? For this today's mathematics. So. But in general, people don't. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, both doubles, because for knowledge, it's like, well, if I listen to what you're showing me and you listen to what I'm showing you, then we're gonna have a gained sense of wisdom.
Right? Isn't that
the conversation is now happening?
Right.
So it's really for both doubles, like to discuss it proves it in and of itself.
Right.
Like just the mere
but all
act
that
of discussion.
You said that a great build doesn't come along unless you start to combine the principles.
Well,
And no matter what we do, God, we have to learn to combine the principles because there are degrees in 120 that have the principles combined. You know what I'm saying?
And
They combine the principles.
you're also gonna get a lot of like repeated weak sauce builds throughout the month. Like you can get 3 weak ass builds about God throughout the month. You get 3 of those, guaranteed.
Right.
The same one.
I always say that, God, on the any day that borns God or the God day, everybody's wrong when they have class that day. I don't care. Whatever they
Because
say.
everybody's build is always just about
Yeah.
me. Look at me.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
I am so great. Gold stars.
Yeah. Because when they go, I knew I was God when, it becomes the story of my life.
See, because remember when I studied this shit, it wasn't nobody telling me nothing. So I took it to mean a whole different thing.
Right. Malik, you always ask good questions about one of my favorite degrees, the 30th degree in the 140. Is the devil the separation between the black or the brown, or separation itself? The devil is not the separation between the black and the brown. Okay? It's the mental dissatisfaction that causes that to happen, that allows that to happen. But and it is not the separation itself. The separation itself is our problem. But the actual destruction, once the separation is done, that's the devil. Okay? And it's twofold. There's a little confusion there because to cause the separation, there has to be dilution of the germ, right? There has to be like thinning of the blood, like it mentions. So there is destructive things happening to the original man's genetics to cause the separation. But in essence, though, if you really read that wisdom build degree, and the wisdom build degree, the most important part in that separation, though, is the nurses sticking pins in the head. Not the actual physical pin, but the mental pin about the holy baby and the angel baby. That process is what justifies it's Aladdin. It's a whole new world in the mind of people that exist now. And so it changes the whole mentality of when they create life, that it is not as worthy until there. So this concept of heaven and hell, you know what I'm saying? And heaven as well is a major root in 120 that's in 120 that is wrong with what obstructs us and causes devilishment. You know what I'm saying? So when you hear a person building though, and they're building about heaven or hell and shit like that, they don't have this knowledge. You know what I'm saying? Because the concept of heaven itself as well is not right and exact. The idea that heaven is somewhere else, is a major issue. It's a major issue.
What's the idea of what heaven actually is?
Because Christianity later is focusing on you not making sure you don't go to hell. But in the wisdom build degree, the point was it's okay. We kill the black babies at birth, but they're going to heaven. So it's a positive. It's putting a positive spin on something horrific.
Better place now.
Yeah, they're in a better place now. So all that shit is something that we actually 100% don't advocate, right? So that's even that's why, like, when I say things like remembered imperfection when people pass away, you know what I'm saying? Because when people we love pass away, I don't know what they're doing, and I know that they're not just sleeping. We're doing so much in this life, though, that we consider sleep to be a blessing. And so we put that on them doing something better. But I don't consider that being better.
He's resting.
Yeah, he's resting. He's in a better place now. You know what I'm saying? But I like to think, and I see it, that they're building and continuing to build wherever they are.
Even before I came to this, I always thought that they're in a better place. So, that expression never sat well with me. You know what I mean? Because like, even when I was a kid and you asked me about a dead relative, I'll be like, well, they're either or,
Right.
And they're like, oh, that's messed up. I was like, I wasn't with this motherfucker 24/7. I don't know what they did when I wasn't looking.
And I hate the lack of mathematics on that, because if people did things and suffered, and people die, they suffer, and you see them suffer from disease or any other things, they're responsible for that. So just because they died and their physical withered away because of it in return, doesn't mean that they're still not responsible for the actions that led them to that demise. You see?
Yeah, it's especially with
So
some
to me, wherever you go, you're still dealing with that. Right? I would like to think that these people are more capable with dealing with it, or more in the realization that they must continue to deal with it, but still dealing with it.
well, when it comes to trauma, that's when everybody's lack of faith gets tested, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's very rare that you hear somebody's advice be like, well, put your vagina away. You know what I mean? Like, that's the whole advice. Like, there's no follow up to that. It's just, man the fuck up and just deal with it. Like, it's very rare that you hear advice like that because that's not what people want.
All right, I see G1 was listening to Pop Life earlier by Prince. Do for Self says, okay, I read that. Kasim, you said it's a beautiful exercise for the brain, showing improving the math, and today's math is right and exact. I agree. I was building on Malik's saying a 30th degree. I hope that made sense what I said. Kasim said those all being borns is what make it even more unique. I agree. Harmony said my enlightenment speaks about the use of all being born, but he's not opposed to it. Absolutely, absolutely. King, okay, they were saying that. Okay. Okay, see. Oh, right. Sometimes you draw on what's happening or let someone know the lessons. Okay. Major bank mentality. Thank you. I received it. Just DM me an address so I could send that. And which one? Which book? Okay. Just let me know which book and where to send it to. I agree. Definitely a polarity reversal. Harmony. Okay. The process makes devil, Malik. And it's a process of separating us and attacking us in parts, not in whole. Okay. Yeah, King, you shouldn't, once you get anxious about the build, then you're not gonna get the understanding. You know what I'm saying? Um, that's why I think, like, when I ask people to write in their journals, is that they should spend some, it's okay to spend time when you're dealing with a degree to write questions about it. You know what I'm saying? What don't you get? What are possibilities? This is how you experiment with the learning. Ask questions about it, but don't necessarily feel like you have to get an understanding. You know what I'm saying? If you're saying like, hey, that pressure is real, like if you're asking me about understanding, I usually I have an understanding on the spot, but I've been on the spot for quite a long time. You know what I'm saying? I don't really have the opportunity to not, even though there are degrees that I hate though. I don't really, you know. A lot of people, you're all talking about breaking down the degree and stuff. I'm going to go through a plus lesson I have, though, that's about this. And if you don't have this plus lesson, email me and I'll send it to you, okay? send it over the weekend and stuff. Because sometimes when you simplify the degree, the whole point is to simplify it and try. And part of that is also to make your confusion into a good question of what you don't know. It doesn't mean you answer the question, but it means you could take a question somewhere, you know, or know exactly what's bothering you, you know, because identifying difficulties in your learning, though, is one of the best ways to learn. In this justice build that I have, it's really focusing on the 120 lessons and 10 things. That's why I call it the justice build. 10 things to focus down, to make it simple. Sometimes when you simplify it into its parts, so if you could answer something to each of these things, then you do better. So it goes the 120. I started off saying the 120 lessons are a complete tool of learning if one applies a complete body of disciplines to it. Below are 10 immediate disciplines, not all of them, and concepts to begin with. Each point will be related to the first degree because I'm going through an example with it. Each point will be related to the first degree in the student enrollment, who is the original man, right? The original man is the Asiatic black man, the maker, the owner of the cream planet, father of civilization, and God of the universe. The stratagem here may be applied to any teaching we come across. Okay. And I'll send this to you. I'll send this to everybody. You know, just email me or text me and stuff, so that way I don't forget. Okay. Because after I leave the class, though, I start all over again. You know what I'm saying? My whole life starts all over again. It's like Groundhog Day. Right? But the first thing is vocabulary, right? Vocabulary. I said before we even seek to explain the meaning of the degree, let alone get an understanding, we must know what the words mean. Like, what does Asiatic mean? So there are words that you know what they mean, but you don't know their context. So sometimes you have to figure out, though, what do they mean? There's supreme definitions, deeper definitions. What word is throwing you off? You know, so identify those words that may need or may possibly have a different or a particular definition, maybe the way Elijah meant it, things like that. Okay. The second thing is history. The 120 lessons are not structured chronologically per se, and many become confused by the timeline. Throw in the Asiatic calendar, a calendar based on events more than astrological timing, and there can be extreme confusion. We must know the time we are studying and also the historical events referenced or the history it suggests we should know of. For example, in the knowledge degree, right? What is the history of Asia? How is the black man the father of civilization? Those are examples of history, right? All right. Number 3, science. We must engage in the sciences that the degrees are referencing. That is an endless one. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught as an evangelist, right? Sharing a fact-based religion, right? Put that together. Fact-based religion. It's the whole oxymoron of that. He built a massive congregation off the dynamic sharing of unknown truths that he did not technically prove, but overtly declared must be accepted. We cannot do that because these Muslim teachings have become our 120 lessons, and so we must look for real scientific reasoning at every turn. So when we talk about black, what do we mean? For example, the examples are through the knowledge degree in the 1 to 10. What is the biochemistry of the black man? Who is black? What do we mean by black? Right? And again, that goes, it kind of juxtaposes with vocabulary as well. Okay. The fourth one is abstract versus concrete. The language of 120 is a dialect we must learn in a way of speaking that is not overtly technical. We must understand the use of metaphor and abstract terms that are not to be taken exactly literal and other terms that are much deeper than they appear to be. Again, knowledge degree, we look at the abstract term of cream and the deeper meaning behind black man, right? Black, brown, yellow, right? All of these things. Okay? So these are things that we look at. And again, I'm using the knowledge degree in the 1 of 10 as the example in this, but it relates to all degrees. Okay? So the fourth one was abstract versus concrete. You're trying to see what is technical, what is abstract, right? And cream was the example of abstract. Okay? A more concrete technicality was black man, right? But it has a deeper meaning. Okay? Titles offered. Number 5, titles offered. We are learning a knowledge of self with this great aid. In it, titles are shared constantly, and we must note under what conditions and notice their worth, the activities, and powers designated by them. We say we are God or earth, the most important titles known, right? And in the knowledge degree, it says God, maker, owner, okay? All right. Okay. The 6th one out of these 10 in this plus lesson. By the way, this is a plus lesson. This is my plus lesson. I wrote this. Today's reality is the 6th one. With these degrees written in the 1930s, we must learn how to understand how this language fits this time and the people that are around us. How do they see it? Or we're trying to get in the mindset. What would they understand out of 120? How do I share the principles if I quote, paraphrase, or explain in my own words? Right? Example, explain the black man is God to a yellow seed Dominican who is Christian Catholic. That was like the...
Yeah, have fun with that.
Right? That would be like the... How do you apply those to today's... Right? All right. Then the 7th one was common ancestry. 120 is a new arcane text of spiritual truth. Arcane means hard to understand unless you're taught what it means. It is important to note how our people learn this truth and what parts of it over the last 6,000 years and beyond. Without, we will not see the useful tools to gain from the past and often will strut around reinventing the wheel, as in the ancient texts of Islam, the Tao, Buddhism, Hinduism, Sufism, yogic, etc. Right? In other words, we didn't invent the wheel with these teachings. The black man is God. If it is really a true statement, we did not invent it. So find the collections, right? Okay. Major bank, yeah. I'm telling you to tell me where to send it. Yeah, tell me in the DM. Tell me the book you want, and then where to send it. Okay. And I will mail it out there. Okay. The 8th is 120 reference. You cannot prove. Let me start that again. Peace. You cannot prove a degree in 120 by quoting another degree. That is the same as saying you are correct because you said as such last week. However, in the study of 120, referencing other degrees bring insights to the concepts in each of the degrees. They must be cross-referenced to extract total meaning. As in the 10th degree in the 1 to 40 asks, who is that mystery God? This lends insight to the 120 being one of the few spiritual texts to overtly claim who is God, as opposed to other ancient texts that were far from subtle, right? Were far more subtle. Okay? All right? So learning how to reference 120 with actual proof, drawing insights as opposed to saying one part proves the other. Okay? It's a skill. The 9th one, supreme mathematics. This is the language of our essence, the what and how the original man and woman do. It is also the law and order of the universe, and we must always be mindful of the degrees that the lessons highlight. 1 is knowledge, the number of the degree, and 7, God, mentioned in the lesson. So we look at the mathematics that are inside the degree and what number it accords to. Okay? And the last one in this build is your understanding. Life is a developing understanding, and you must articulate, put into words what you know so that you may figure out how you may use it. Your understanding is a unique and yet proven insight that propels your way of life. Your building with 120 is nothing without this. I put that last though because it's not something you work toward though. You allow it to come to you, to develop, and you accept that it is going to develop over time.
A few somewhere, but that's students.
All right, so that's the plus lesson about that.
You know, did you check the lab? He might be in
I
the
just
lab.
happened to walk past here.
Yeah, he might be in the lab or he might be in the yard.
Peace.
Yes, I do.
I'm Sunez.
I know you.
Okay, I don't know you.
You don't.
No.
I've been around since '74.
Okay. That's peace.
Where's Darkin?
Darkin was here. He may be outside or around.
I remember you from a long time ago.
That's
It
peace.
was different. My name is Queen Sonetta Magnetica.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace then. Okay. So I went through a build a plus lesson. Students, I'm also online as well.
Mhm.
Students were asking me and having some difficulties or feeling the pressure with trying to come to an understanding, okay, to certain degrees, right? And sometimes it's not always your lack of memorizing degree, your difficulty memorizing is one thing, but we're talking about people knowing it. Peace, God.
Well, I mean, but I thought a plus degree was like, they said to work, go to school, and take care of their family, stay out of prison. But people have both plus degrees after father returned, because when he was alive, there wasn't a such thing as plus degrees.
Right.
And I learned that from my old earth and my old
That's right. Well, what I said was plus lesson, and I said I wrote this. Okay, so in teaching this class over the years, though, many of my teachings, my lessons, the plans, the pedagogy, the styles of teaching, they end up being repeated. They end up being used, and they develop into ways of teaching. Right.
Mhm.
So those methods become written down. Right. Now, mind you, when I started to teach here, I was put here to teach, though, and taught to teach here.
Mhm.
Much of the thing was based on the skill sets I have. I'm a writer. I'm an author. So it wouldn't be like the usual demonization of the plus lesson, where it would be like, listen, we don't do plus lessons. We're not following another man's whatever, right? Etc. The whole point of the plus lesson that I was taught, though, was to show forth and prove an understanding about something that wasn't being shared, something that was an insight to something that wasn't being given. So whatever plus lessons I'm talking about that I have written on, they're mainly builds to help people understand things better. They're not to say what things mean. You know what I'm saying? Like, look through things and say, this is what this means, and this is what you will think it means when you read it. You know what I'm saying?
Because people lessons actually 120, certain words are actually worded different in different sets of 120s, and I know that for a fact.
Of course. Yeah. That's not
That's not
120. Yeah, that's not what I'm doing here. This particular plus lesson that I went through was about, I call it the justice bill, because there were 10 things I listed, but it was mainly things to focus on when you look at the degrees, what to look at. So as I went through the list, it was, I can't remember them off the head, I just read it. Vocabulary, the references in 120, supreme mathematics, sciences that are evoked in the degree, right? So some people might not get an understanding in the lesson. Well, what type of sciences are being explored in the lesson? You know what I mean? And I use in this particular plus lesson, I use the first degree and the 1 to 10 as the example, right? Who's the original man? So if I said, if you look at the degrees and, well, what sciences would be in here? Well, we got a lot of sciences. Father of civilization, that would lead you to archaeology, like, for example, right? 30th degree in the 1 to 40 is genetics. You know what I'm saying? Like, simple. So if you don't know anything about genetics, though, you're going to have you're going to be weak. You're going to be weak with that degree. You know what I'm saying? You can only use what was told to you, but you can't really add on to it. There's nothing else to analyze, and the language is going to be unclear. So there's a lot of degrees in 120 where expecting us to not just learn history, that was the obvious one, but also learn about other sciences. So those are some examples. That particular plus lesson was for that, because students that are on the chat here watching the online class, they were asking about that. So I went through that plus lesson. But thinking about the many plus lessons that I've written, they've never been about saying to people, what is the degree? Like, for example, I have a plus lesson about the 1 to 36, but I don't give any of the answers. You know what I mean? The answers. Like,
they should be able to figure it out.
If that was the case, though, then none of us would need enlighteners. None of us would need
I don't mean to
teachers,
say like
you know?
that. You said it's
Right?
like if they studying the 1 to 36.
Sure.
Yeah.
right? So, for example, the plus lesson I give out for 136, I call it I call it a reference sheet. So it has certain books that might relate to it that they could read to, certain words to focus on, and I may give some definitions, but it still leads them to have to go figure things out. So I'm not giving you the understanding of he likes the devil because the devil gives him nothing.
Of course
The
not.
student needs to
Go more in depth.
They
Like,
need
why
to-
did why
they
does
need to
he like
pull.
the devil? The devil give him nothing. Why did he not give him anything?
Right.
What did the devil teach him? The devil didn't teach him nothing.
Right,
Only
right.
thing he taught him how to deal.
Right.
The devil
But I
gave him a
think-
form of tricknology.
I would say this though. It's a misnomer to say this is a falsity though in this nation's history that if we don't write it down, then students will not be they'll all come out with their own unique understanding of. That hasn't been the case either. A lot of people's style of teaching though is basically rote memorization of the said teacher's understanding. So I didn't write down anything though, but I'm telling you everything I understand, and I expect you to see it that way. That's a fact. There's no sugarcoating that. My intentions all the years that I've been here, is to push the student out of the classroom as quickly as possible, and to give them a grounding so that they could see their own understanding of it. So everything I give is really to be tools and forms, you know. So I hope that makes sense.
It does. I just was coming in here just to see what was
That's
going
peace,
on.
yeah. I did see Dark Kim. He was here. He passed by maybe 20 minutes ago. So
I didn't even know some people was teaching classes in here. That's how much they don't even be letting everybody know everything. And I don't be on the internet like that.
yeah. Well, you know, the internet thing started it's mainly me and Dark Kim using the internet. Allah Shah teaches on Saturday.
I know I've been here on
Right?
Saturday morning.
But for me and Dark Kim, we've used the internet a lot because when the school closed down during the COVID, we kept it going through the internet, right? And because I have a respectable internet presence, so people were tuning in, and then I just merged both once we opened the school back up. You know what I'm saying? So merging both, using both.
Yeah.
You know what I
I
mean?
think based on the teachings, it depends on when actually the most enlightened is when they had got the knowledge, because the people from the 60s is almost similar to the 70s. After the 90s and the 2000s, it's totally different.
Absolutely, I agree. Yeah, and I think this in the classroom setting, especially now amplified with the online, the classroom setting isn't really where you learn this knowledge. This is where the student accumulates, and the classroom is a place of experimentation. The student can experiment. They can say the wrong thing. They can try out something they think, something that they study. You know, just like when you learn in martial arts, though, you say, listen, is this the way you do the move? He does it all wrong and everything. You know what I mean? Get himself hurt. But the Qigong, the seafood teaches him how to do it right and everything.
So this is more
That's
starting
the
from
classroom for that.
fundamental part. And
But
then
a lot of the people online, including the classroom throughout all these, I've been here teaching this class for over 23 years.
23 years.
Okay.
So you had knowledge for 40 years?
No, I've had knowledge for 24 years.
Okay.
I was put here to teach the minute that I got this knowledge. You know what I mean? So, right? So the whole idea is that when we teach in the classroom, that a student would contact after, that they would have this after. See, even when I got it here, though, I was here every day. So I wasn't really learning those deeper jewels, you know what I'm saying? Until I was alone with that, with my enlightener, hanging with them, you know what I'm saying? Seeing what they go through, having the questions come to me, you know, seeing daily life occurrences, you know what I'm saying? Right? So all those things changed, you know what I mean? So the students that are from other states, sometimes even other countries, the only place that they could walk and talk with me is obviously online or in the emails, chat, text, things like that, phone call, you know what I'm saying? So we do the best we can, or else they wouldn't have it where they're at. You know what I mean?
I know there's a lot of students in other countries.
There are, yeah. And for example, there's an Instagram page in the God Minister Freedom out in Detroit, D Mecca. He has worked to make
He has the internet.
to make a database where if people want the knowledge, they DM him, and you know we don't know who's who, things like that. But he'll direct them oh, you're from this place, and he'll direct them to people that live in that place.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So right. So he
That's
had.
where you from?
From the Bronx.
Right.
P.E.A.C.E.
Yeah.
They used to have a school in P.E.A.C.E. a long time ago on Washington Avenue when I was young.
Word? Where in Washington?
think it might be, I'm not sure what street, because I was real young. I've been around since 74.
The yeah, but like
It could have
yeah.
been on, was it 160 Lincoln Washington or 163?
Possibly.
Ask Arlene and them, they would tell you.
Yeah, I can believe that. I can believe that.
Then they closed it down.
I can believe that. Man, cause of it.
Medina had a lot of schools, not just in Brownsville. They had one in Crown Heights. They had one on the other side of Red. They gave civilization classes, but they gave them everything.
So that's what it is.
So what time you teach your class if you don't mind me asking?
It's every Thursday. Right now, consistently 6 to 8. 6 to 8. When people let me leave.
8-ish.
Yeah,
6 to 8 and then the 3 hour divide.
You guys come all the time?
I come when I got this time slot open to do stuff.
I've been coming since like January.
Right, you be King? I just happened to come past and just hear like what was going on and just see what's going on. So
Yeah, no, that's peace. Yeah.
I go out front and
he knew me since I was a baby.
whisper Grandmaster Flower's name in Darkin's ear and walk off.
I don't even see what happened to all the pictures.
Well, they painted those, so they took
No,
them
they
down.
haven't.
They didn't really.
In the hallway, they
I
got
don't
all
even see
the
no more pictures. of my
collages
mother
that
and
my
my
agent
aunt.
did. The collages that my agent made.
Which
Those
my
are
agent you talking about?
the one that made the collages.
It's more than one my agent that does collage.
Short, not to see in the early 60s,
She's not that short. She got gray hair, gray and black hair.
mostly gray.
She's kind of thick.
That's putting it
Yeah,
politely.
that's my agent. Had nurse since the 70s.
Yeah. But those all in the hallway, man.
All right.
Peace. I'm gonna call you back. I'm at the school. All right. All right.
Okay, so if you want that plus lesson, just email me, okay, and I'll send it to you. Okay? Page questions. Okay.
I don't think you talk about this. My agent right here. This department. Let me see. She got a Facebook page, right?
Yeah, with honorable.
Do for self, that's peace.
That's my sister. My agent.
You know what? The consistency of a journal isn't necessarily with writing every day. What makes it easier is picking an amount of pages a week. So say to yourself, real easy, 3 pages. Okay, get 3 pages in, because even if the end of the week comes, you can crash, and you can go nuts and make your deadline. You know what I'm saying? And as you get that consistency, then you'll see that you can have 3 plus or more pages, and let it fluctuate on that though. So go by the number of pages, not necessarily writing every single day. Okay. All right. Because when you're more used to writing though, it comes out faster. If you're not used to writing though, you're looking at a blank page, not knowing where to begin. You know what I mean? And also too, like since we have computers, especially have our phones, you should always have a document though that is just about loose notes and just collecting loose notes. Whatever you understand, if you're writing creative works, creative ideas, all of that, everything, loose notes. Always have a loose notes thing, because when people ask you to write things, like if I ask you to write an essay or you're writing something or an article, whatever it is, you do it. Being able to delve into something on a blank page is difficult, but going through your notes and seeing all of the insights you have your own mind to give you your own springboard. Okay, so that's always the easier. Like when I do creative works though, I have a whole document filled with like creative ideas that aren't being used. You know what I'm saying? Okay, I appreciate that, Sam. Yeah, the idea, abstraction, representation. Yeah, these are all things to look at. And sometimes when we articulate them, then now a lot of things about learning, we don't really learn how we learn. So if you start to understand and you start to basically see evidently and describe the parts of things that confuse you, then you start to see what are your limitations. You know what I'm saying? What are the parts that are limiting you? A lot of times it could be basic. It could just be the history of the degree. And then you realize that you don't read history books. You don't care for history books. There's your problem. You know what I'm saying? Right? So all of these things. I'm not sure about that question, really. Is our power in the 32nd degree, is our power the fact we're supreme and supposed to be and do more as a power? I feel like I'll answer you. I'm assuming your question there. It's not finished, that question. Okay. Okay. I see that symmetry. Yeah, the idea of time. So while I read this, Sam, do you have any questions? I haven't seen you in
weeks, right?
Yeah, in a while. Yeah.
Yeah, I do have a question. I was talking to the guy, Amir, right?
Amir, you said?
Yeah. And I remember.
Wait, you mean Amari?
Amari.
Yeah.
Oh, Amari. Okay.
And I remember you was talking about this when you stopped by when we did the thing in Brooklyn. You was talking about the micro and the macro. And I wanted to build more on that.
What about the micro and the macro?
I need more understanding of it. Because is it something that's, I don't know, because when you was explaining it and when the mom was explaining it, I kind of didn't understand it.
Okay, I don't know what he was saying because micro. Well, I don't know what his use of the word micro and macro are. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And if he's telling you what I was saying about micro and macro, I think I wouldn't want anybody else to tell you what I was saying about something, right? But I think recently I was talking about the knowledge degree and the wisdom degree, right? The basic stuff in the 1 to 10. Who's the original man? Who's the colored man? And a lot of people's confusion, though, is because they look at things, they don't know how to look at things micro and macro, right? That was what I was saying about that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going back to what I was recently saying using those words, right? So when the Father taught us not to be pro-black, anti-white, right? Like just focus on that. Don't just focus on being pro-black or anti. Why would he say that? And he said be pro-righteousness and anti-devilish, right? So that means that in that knowledge degree, we wouldn't look at every black person and go, they're automatically the true and living God.
Right.
And we wouldn't look at every devil, right? We wouldn't look at every white person and go, that's an evil devil right there. Slay him on sight. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Right? We wouldn't do that. So the whole idea is that there's a discretion. And when you look at the 120, in general, the degrees are really talking about the macro. That in general, the reality is that the black man is God.
Mm-hmm.
No matter how you look at it in the largest perspective, no matter how you look at it, if you take the entire history of the Caucasian white man, right? Every country, every reality, put it all together in a macro sense, a larger sense, the white man has been the devil. If you compare it to other histories, right? They have done devilishment that has been way beyond. Other countries, other factions that have done devilishment have had them teaching them to further it, right? So that's the macro. So, but we don't live in the macro. You see what I'm saying? Our daily lives aren't always macro. We're affected by the macro, right? Politicians, things like that, making decisions. But even us as like gods right now, we're not making many decisions based on the macro. Okay? Even when we build it, we make decisions as a nation. We make decisions. That's our biggest macro, like directly affecting people with let's say one decision.
Mm-hmm.
Not like a politician where he can make a good decision, but someone will still be suffering from it because it's so many people that they make a decision for.
Right.
So when you constantly deal with these lessons, you have to constantly remind yourself that you're dealing with the individual, but those degrees are acute. You're dealing with this white person. You don't know them yet. There is a large chance that they're a devil. You know what I'm saying? So you're studying their ways and actions, and a lot of times you don't have time to look at all their ways and actions, right? We don't have time to do that with everybody, right? We don't have time to say, can you engage in a way in action that could possibly affect me so I can see if you're righteous or
Just
not?
throw in some NWA and watch how they sing along.
Right, yeah. We can't even play that for everybody, right? Like you just go around playing that. Radio Raheem everywhere. But the point being, though, is that that's what I meant by the micro and the macro. And that's what makes a lot of this life that we live, though, contradictory, you know what I'm saying, and confusing. But our life is contradictory. It isn't hypocritical. We know these truths, so we apply these truths, so we work to show and prove these truths. You know what I mean? But that's what I meant. I don't know what Amari was saying.
No, I think that's because he talked to me about that afterwards.
Yeah.
That's more or less what he was saying, like this, and also he was talking about like the sort of concept of micro and macro on the level of like, you know, as above, so below.
Oh, okay.
Type of thing, right?
Okay, right.
So all the elements that make up your body are also found in
Right.
space, the final frontier.
Well, on that level, that's the build degree in
It's very-
the 140.
It's very macro.
Right.
It's as macro as it gets.
Okay. Did that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was only for that particular situation when I was mentioning macro and micro, because I use that term a lot.
I know we learn more about it.
It just reflects basically the scope of what you're. So macro is like on a world scope. Micro is like.
And sometimes
beach
for me,
ave.
for me, a lot of this term is I've appropriated a lot of business terms. You see business terms use macro and micro a lot. So like macroeconomics is totally different than microeconomics. You know what I'm saying? Right? But you know what's funny is that macroeconomics has more of a justification for the way it goes. Like in macroeconomics, you get a justification why there needs to be unemployment, why there should be inflation, all these kind of things, and you don't really understand the devilishment to it unless you get into microeconomics, you know what I mean? And start to study it there. You know the impacts of the individual. You know? But it works both ways, right? Because the ways that we were fooled, the ways that we were made 85 and all that kind of stuff, these are macro realities that we suffer, right? And they affect the individuals. You know?
He likes the devil because the devil gives you nothing. Like comes into when you talk about that particular topic, that degree gets quoted a lot.
Well, I don't know too much about being the 85, so I can't
Well, it's
speak
like
on that.
when you
It
talk
was
about
never one, so I can't speak on that.
when you talk about like minimum wage, right? Oh yeah, $15 an hour.
No, what he was saying, you was made the 85, like you
Right, yeah.
from birth that you became the 85,
yeah.
not me. I was, so I don't know that lifestyle at all, not with me.
But the same like micro and macro economics still affect you. You know what I mean? Like minimum wage with no maximum wage is you actively receiving nothing.
Because the reality is like there's right born in the nation, everybody suffers some of it in some type of way not because of the devil or anything else, but the reality of what knowledge is.
Yeah, that's true. But actually, growing up in the nation, there was more structure. The parliaments was more crowded. Some people had more respect for each other, but it was a lot of death going against brothers. A lot of stuff didn't happen.
Right.
And I'm not a liberal. I'm not going to discuss that. It was too much. So
No,
you got a lot of people that was here, and they just don't come around at all.
Sure.
They don't.
Sure. Let's say everybody had knowledge, though. Everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody was given knowledge, so they all had the choice, right? Because we don't force the knowledge, right? We give it to them. Everybody understood what it meant, and they all had the choice. Utopian world, right? They all took the choice that they were given the knowledge, and they took the choice to either be it, right? They be God, be Earth, or not be God and Earth because they just can't do it. It's not really, you know what I mean? For them, they all took their choice, right? Even still, then we would still be dealing with the ideas of 85 because knowledge is infinite.
Of course.
And the reality of knowledge is that since we are always learning and developing, there's always a state and the possibility of doing things, praise God, of doing things that you have to do, but may not know everything about. So there's always a possibility of a next belief. That's why I say we have to bathe ourselves of belief daily.
Right.
Yeah.
There is always the possibility that we are doing something that we don't know completely everything about.
Right.
So when we start with the knowledge of self, we're basically dealing with ourselves. Like we know ourselves so well, all of the other factors of this universe that we create, we have more handle on. Even if I don't have a hand in making this, that, and the other, I have so much of a control and mastery of what is this, me, that now I can deal with everything else, you know? And then it builds on from there, you know? But that mentality could infect anyone, though, who decides not to continue to add on, not continue to question, you know?
Mhm.
So it can affect anything, even if they don't deal with a mystery God. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Right?
Everybody has their own mind.
Right.
I mean, that's actually, if you look at the trends, right? That's actually a waning. That war is almost like half won at this point.
I can't
There's
even.
more atheists now than ever. People are walking away from the church left and right. People are walking away from mosques left and right.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's just
And you got people walking away from the 5% nation.
yeah.
Also.
No, what I'm saying, like
A lot of
as
people
far
have
as
walked away. You know how many older guards at Earth said, well, don't come around that y'all may not know?
yeah.
They're still
Oh,
there, but
absolutely,
don't come
yeah.
around? Because I know
No.
a lot.
But I'm talking about as far as like people believing in a mystery God. That's not like people still do it.
No, when
Not
they
judging
talking
for
about
their
all the
lifestyle
transsexual
choices,
things, when you go to the hospitals, they celebrating, they advertising, you know, the transsexual community. But you got pronouns and nouns and non-binary. Now, when I was growing up, I seen it at home hospital before that.
It's interesting you say that because it's almost like new mysteries. Because if you have new identities that don't really exist, then that's new
Wait, so
mystery.
you're saying that 51 out of the 53 currently recognized genders are just made up?
Right.
I just think that it's either male or female. That's it.
No, I see it.
That's all it is. I don't know about all this other stuff now and this and that because
Gender fluid.
it's.
I
don't-
think it's just
But then they said that if your child is 5 years old, how can you say that he wants to be a girl? That doesn't make any sense. They don't even know yet.
It's
You see how they pushing this agenda on everybody, especially
yeah.
you know the Democrats. That's what they do.
But
They want to pay for
a
the
lot of that
children.
to me is also 10%. Is massive 10%ing because
It is.
our reality is giving them that
Yeah,
identity
that's
of
true.
them being
That's
true and
true.
living God, true and living earth. If they're always in flux with identity, they never really embrace an identity. So sometimes it's not so much that they're saying that they're this and that. It's that they could say that they're this and that, and then tomorrow say there's something else, and then the next day say there's something else.
Yeah, look at Dylan Labani. He talking about he could have a baby. No, you cannot have a baby. It's not possible. Even if you take hormones, because he's not born a woman. It's not born a girl and transition into a woman. And just like what happened with the NCAA, the other lady had lost against a man. I don't think that a biological man, even if they are transformer or called transgender or transsexuals, I don't think that they should compete in
I
sports.
agree with that.
And also be in a locker room while they still got their genitalia. It's not fair because the man out of strip is stronger than the woman. But the woman in the strip is stronger because she's able to hold babies.
Right. I agree with that 100%. Yeah. They got these bad athletes when they were men, and now they're super athletes.
So what would you say to the people that might want to get the knowledge, but they might be homosexual? How do you feel about that?
That's
Because
happening.
they said we're not supposed to turn anybody away.
That's happened at times where people don't want to say that they are, but they'll ask me that question,
And
and
they shouldn't come in.
it's pretty clear. You know what I'm saying? I can't not sugarcoat it. I can't tell them that if you're a gay man that you're the true and living God, because you're not. No, yeah, right. I can't sugarcoat it. Just like many white people when they come in, though, I can't
So
sugarcoat it.
but if they want to come here and they're talking about they gay, but they still want to get not yourself to become a black man
Right. Yeah,
to be accepted. So
Yeah,
I mean,
you know
they
what
got
I'm
not
saying?
yourself.
That has happened.
everything has
What?
happened.
But they got gay people coming here talking about they want not yourself. So what?
I-
Do you turn them
In
away?
my,
Because
in
I
my,
was told
in
that
my
you're not
experience,
supposed to turn anybody
in
away
my-
that want the knowledge.
in my experience, though, right?
Mhm.
In my experience, though, right? And what I was taught how to teach at the school, like treating it like a school for everyone, right? The
Yeah.
populace, Harlem, whatever it is, right? We say it is. No gay person has overtly said that to me. like I'm gay and check me out. Like, but I could tell because I could tell that when the way they insinuate the question that they are.
It depends, because you might have some that might not. I know you know English, but some of them may not even say it, or you can't tell because they dressing like regular men,
Oh,
and they don't with those undercover
and then,
ones.
yeah,
It's like a lot of them be in prison, and you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
And for that, I could never, I could never answer to that unless I dealt with it.
If you don't know.
Right. But
I'm just asking in case they
right.
come, because I see a lot of them on the street. They be going to come to the window. What are you going to tell them? You can't turn them down, right?
Mm-hmm.
Would you turn them away?
No. I would say this though. Right?
Because I was told we're not supposed to turn anyone down.
What I was taught, how to conduct myself here, right, was to teach what we deal with them. So if they're looking for their place within this, so then I have to tell them what that place is. If it's not a place, they don't have a place in that. However, I tell people that they're allowed to come in the classroom peacefully though and learn about what we teach, and then what they could learn from. You know what I'm saying? So not everybody that look, the large percentage of people that come into this building don't get the knowledge. You know what I mean? And like when you say like people used to be 5%, that had to happen.
I ain't gonna say they used to be 5%, and they still got notches something. They just come around because they don't want to deal with
but that's the same
negativity in the situation. Every time you come around, it's usually people arguing and fighting. Look what happened after Sherman Pool stuff happened. My sister's in charge of the financial. She's on the financial committee. So it's just too much stuff, and the Sherman Pool was not even up to the standards how it used to be. I don't understand it.
I agree. Some of that had to do with COVID. You know what I'm saying? A lot of that had to do with the logic. To me,
they were all unorganized.
But here's what I'm saying, though. It's logical to me. You think
it has something to do with COVID?
Some of it, though. But in general, though, it has to happen that way.
Yeah, but you have more people outside than inside.
Right. What I'm saying is that it's logical. It has to happen.
It is.
The way numbers vary is because when people live this over a long time, they're going to realize that it's hard to live this every day. And people live it. You're saying that, but you need to look at the way other people live it. Average people live it. The way people look at it as a daily reality. See, I don't necessarily look at people as students or anybody that walks into the classroom from my perspective. Right? So I'm looking at it from their perspective. I'm from a world perspective. You know what I mean?
Peace Education, what's up? What happened to Janet?
Let me look at some of these questions.
Cool. Divine Education, I'm gonna call you back, all right? He's talking about this.
What's going on, bro?
Peace.
How you feel?
Nobody, how you?
Yeah, I know the king. I know the trolls are chopping up stuff now as we speak, right? You know, but no. What I'm saying is this, though. It's like it's hard to be the abilities to be this, though. Have a grounding, have a foundation, have a network and stuff. See, we weren't just taught like to. When we say nation, right, we all come together and everything like that, right? And it was something that was ingrained in a lot of us, though, right? But the truth is that most of us are living this stuff by ourselves. And we live it among families, among relatives, among other people, among people that we're trying to give to that don't have it. So in reality, though, we are the support system of our own and of everyone else. And for a lot of people, they're not able to carry that. And to me, a lot of the numbers that were in this nation, though, had a lot to do with entertainment and hip hop.
Wait, hold on. What did you say? You said everybody that was here was in.
No, I didn't say that, though.
The what?
I didn't say that, though. I never used the word everybody.
Not everybody. Say it again.
I said that a lot of the people that stuck with this, though, that were here, especially in my 23 years, had a lot to do with hip hop. And a lot that were leaving, though, were hip hop, too. You know what I mean? And not because of just the music, but the popularity of it.
Yeah, because
that it had a viability to it, that it seemed something acceptable, something that you wouldn't sound crazy with. But what happens though?
That's true, because they did indoctrinate a lot of our stuff, and they took it to their teachers.
Right. So
with the lingo,
obviously,
the supreme mathematics. And
in my career, I'm a journalist. I'm a hip hop journalist, so I know that these teachings have not wavered have not gone away in the music. They're
they're
immensely in there.
music, yeah.
But for the pop music, the music that reaches the masses the most, it's not in there.
But hip hop
Like
is
it
a
once
big
was.
genre because it's all over the world
It's huge.
globally.
Right.
It's actually dominating pop now.
Right. But
I don't know about the drill rap, but you know.
Right, but this is what I'm talking about is generally the bad music, and the bad music is usually what sells. You know what I mean? Shitty music is what sells.
Well, you take it back, so when you want to deal with Sets of Sonic, all of them had knowledge before
Right,
came out.
but
they
that's
came around my way.
Right, but that's I'm talking about like nah.
Yeah, but they still was using it, so it was
Right.
That's what they are.
So what I'm saying is
So
just
right
like
now, so you think some people just want to get the knowledge, just sit home and become hip hop and everything?
I think this for us is
You made a big impact on the hip hop
for us as 5%ers, right? I think that we don't really see how hard it is for people to live it for a whole lifetime. You know what I'm saying? And I'm saying that though because let's say you say this, like you come here, there's a lot of people you don't see come around and stuff like that. I look at things differently. I only notice the people that continue to stay around. You see?
Yeah, because I've always been around, so that's not a shock. I've always been around.
I don't notice all of the people that haven't been around, but I'm noticing the suffering. I'm noticing the difficulties. I'm noticing the hardships of those who stay around. You see? Those who have to make with less. Those who have to teach without less support. You know what I'm saying? And I know because I'm one of those people. You know what I'm saying? So even if there are so many great gods on earth though, but I taught here for at least 10 years though, and there was no one in this building at all. Anyone inside the building, out the building, on the side, in the back, me by myself.
Yeah, for at least be on that side.
For at least 10, right.
I remember that. I came sometimes when you was on that side.
Right. I only change it because it's easier.
Yeah, and that was the one time you had on jeans and everything.
Right.
You was talking.
And nobody gives me something to write on the board, so there's never anything to write on the board. So I just let it go. You know. But the point is though.
Peace day, son.
Peace. How you doing? Peace.
You know,
Peace, God.
Peace.
But the point is though is that like
stuff to write on the board.
Not necessarily though. I'm just throwing that dart out there.
No, because I'll get you some stuff to write on the board.
No, it's you know. But what I'm saying is though, as I understand the difficulties, I don't look at it like, oh, people fell off. I look at it like, oh, this is really hard. And people are getting rooted out.
I feel like
you know
a lot of people don't choose to raise their children in this, and they have their reasons why.
That's the word right there.
Peace.
Okay, peace.
Vice Jamal?
What?
Because
Anywhere
a
you
lot
like
of
to
people that had the house for a long time, some of them have children and grandchildren, they choose not to have their children come around because they don't like what's going on. People always arguing, fighting, and doing drugs outside, and they don't like it.
Well,
They don't want their
children
kids
were born in this. They don't like to come around. I got grandkids in there.
Well, I'm about to be a grandmother in August, but my daughters and them already got knowledge herself. So, you know, it's from generation from great grandfather to grandmother, grandfather, aunts, and uncle.
So why do you feel like that from your perspective since you actually were born in the culture?
Because I bring my children around. A lot of people that been here for years, they know who my children are. Am I lying, Jamal?
No, you're not.
Or they know who my mother was age me, so they already know who. Because she always, when I was at work, if I couldn't come, she'd bring the babies. And I'm like, because my daughter grew up with your daughter.
Yes, you're right.
Now,
So everything I'm saying is the truth. I don't have a reason to lie.
let's say, right? Let's say I understand what you're saying, though, right? The difficulties and things like that, right? So let me take it another way and why I don't there. Peace, God. Right? So let me take it another way, right?
Yeah.
And I'm being egotistical here, right?
Because at the
Let me be egotistical for a moment here, right? I've taught here a classroom setting, like an actual classroom with a curriculum that gets handed out, that gets emails, books that get given out, all of that though, longer than anyone in this building. That's a fact. An actual classroom, right? All those years I was doing it though, I had to deal with people that weren't cool with that. Little things like that. I had to deal with all the people naysayers. All the stuff you say, people drinking, smoking, doing things they shouldn't do at the school, all of that. You know what I'm saying? So at the same time, everybody's quick to point out, this is wrong here. I'm not going to bring kids back. This is wrong here, that. But I didn't really see, and I haven't seen yet though.
I didn't say it was wrong, but
No,
that's
no,
why
no,
people
no,
say
listen,
they won't
listen,
bring their
let me-
children around. They
Let me
don't
just
want
give you a different.
exposed to
I'm giving you a
negativity.
different perspective,
Flipping
though,
the
right?
balance, the arguing and the fighting. Am I
I'm just
lying?
giving you a different perspective, though.
So our duty is to protect our
I
babies.
see that. I didn't see a different campaign, though, of how there was a class, though, like this, at all. I didn't see anybody campaigning that there is a class with curriculum and books and anything like that. No one said that,
I don't know about here,
right?
but Shamal, you
This is
know
what I'm
that
saying.
they had curriculums and books that far
I
the
said-
bound farther than all
Right, right.
everybody gave
But
out.
this is what I'm saying, though.
I don't know about here, but I know they did in different places.
Right,
Not
I'm
here.
talking about what I was doing.
Not here, right?
Now, at the same time,
Besides
though,
Saeed, because Saeed taught
at the
the
same
babies
time,
too.
though, we also do it to ourselves, though.
Mhm.
Okay? People wrote plus lessons, and when I got knowledge, though, I'm telling you, when I got knowledge, my experience, more often than not, I was told writing things is bad. Now I'm a writer. I'm an author.
Yeah, but back then when
right?
people got the knowledge,
Right,
they
right.
had to
No,
actually
no, but
write it out.
I'm
You
saying-
couldn't just get a set of 120.
Right,
That was a
but yeah.
no-brainer.
Listen to my
couldn't get it
perspective, though. We're
Uh-huh.
not talking about writing down 120. Okay? I'm talking about to teach, though, we have to know the perspective of the student, the perspective of the person that knows nothing.
Mhm.
So
What's in their mind?
if we think we know everything, then we have to get outside of our own head and try to understand that person.
Yeah, what's in the
Right?
person's mind? You gotta know what's in the
Exactly,
person's
right,
mind and
'cause-
what's in their thoughts. You can't.
Right? We
yeah.
have children, though. Like I have a little girl. I don't play too good if I only think about Transformers and G.I. Joe, right? I gotta be on my Little Pony, though. I gotta be on my own G girls. You know what I mean?
That's
I gotta
true,
know
but I
about
was
that.
just saying, how many
So-
children really come to the rally?
Right. And
In Parliament.
I agree with
How
that.
many? Because a lot of guys, what they say, is the son of man, everything that the earth go through is his fault. So if it's like that, why he's not bringing his children around? You tell me, and I think I already know the answer why. Because they don't like what goes on, and they don't want their children exposed to bad behavior.
And then this sister
That says a
said
lot.
she's in the mall. She wanted to know what this was about. So I was telling her about
That's
the other
peace.
class, and she said, the brother named Kevin Muhammad Hanif. I said, I told her Father the Five told him.
Yeah, he is. Say he's from Nubia.
Yeah,
This used
I
to
told
be in
her
my
name
house.
was
I know why.
not born. He was born from Nubia, which is Qatar.
That's right. You're right.
And
Got
She-
passed away.
yeah,
Yeah,
Hakeem.
he used to be with
know
Timothy X.
Hakeem.
Walking.
Yeah, the brother.
Well, I know him as Father Divine since.
No, he talking about the Muslim, the other brother.
Kevin Muhammad.
Kevin Muhammad, yeah, he was in the nation. I got
Yeah.
pictures of him when he was
Yeah,
younger.
he had a tattoo with the flag on it on.
Yeah, he used to be with Timothy X. Bar Kim all the time. That
Yeah.
was his partner.
So she wanted to know, what this is about, what we teach, right? So I said, yeah, come in here. And she welcome. I said, yeah, you're welcome to come in.
Let's fix this.
All is love,
Names.
peace.
I came in, that's not why I came in. I came in because my father used to be a 5%.
Okay.
That's why I came in. My minister, Kevin Muhammad, I'm his minister. He made me a minister in 2020. So what happened was when he died, I tried to figure out what made him the genius that he was. So I was examining his life, and my dad, another genius though. A lot of people that ruled the world came through this classroom. So I tried to figure out what is in here. And my father joined here after he got jumped by a bunch of Hispanic men. He was seeking a black brotherhood. So he became a 5%er, and he was a 5%er for a long time. So he ditched Catholicism, which he was born into, and then he came here. And then it followed him into Morehouse in the late 80s, early 90s. And he worked with other 5%ers, Dr. Wesley, who else? A few others. But
Yeah, Dr. Wesley, I know him.
yeah, Wesley, he used to be a 5%er. Towards the end of his life, I learned about the P.E.A.C.E. Kevin Muhammad used to be 5%er.
Shaheed.
There's a 5%er who I actually met, Rubriel, but I think he went by Shanique when he was here.
Okay. I know what you're talking about.
Light-skinned Panamanian
Mhm.
from Brooklyn.
Right.
Big hair.
I know.
So I met him. So a lot of powerful men, men of substance. Like when I look at men of substance, I'm not looking at Jay-Z. Although no, I'm not saying it to be comical. I'm saying it because I don't worship celebrities. That's what I'm saying. I know that Jay-Z knows some of this knowledge and that he rocked a pendant with Jay Electronica. I know that.
Mhm.
But what I'm saying is, I love Jay-Z, but I don't look at celebrities as people of influence. They're really paid puppets. I look at Malcolm X, Brother Hafiz, my father, Dr. Wesley. Those are Malcolm X. Who else was in there? Other people who shook the world. Those are the people I want to get to know. So
And the
when
law.
I
Don't
try,
forget the law. Because all the men wouldn't exist. That your father, the rest of them, if it wasn't for Allah.
correct, and a lot. And for me, I wanted to know what made these men so powerful. So I'm an active member of the Nation of Islam minister. But Hafiz made me a minister. I did a 40-minute lecture under his tutelage in 2020, right before he died.
At this mosque right here, on that one, not the one in Brooklyn, right?
Absolutely right.
That's where Naeem and all them over. So,
Naima El?
Mhm.
I know her. I know her. very
there's two Naeems that go there. They used to be in this nation. One is still active. It comes around. She lives in Brooklyn.
I know. Naima El, I know her very well. So a lot of people I love came through here. So I just wanted to figure out what is it about this that attracted me. So that's it. So I'm just here to learn. There's no judgment. I'm not a judgmental person. I'll be straight up. I'm not here to convert, but I'm here to form an alliance. I think we have a common enemy. I think this world is falling, and as a people, we need to realize that we have to unite. I do believe that the black man is God, absolutely. So as long as we have that core belief, I think we can work together. I actually want to feed the community soon, so I was trying to see if I could speak to like the person who is at the highest ranking and see if that could work later on in the summer.
We don't have any rankings,
We
right?
don't have no rankings.
I don't know. This is my first meeting.
No,
Yeah, we
that's
don't.
You
Yeah.
ask your question, who's your father?
Um,
What was his father's name?
it was long before I was born. I was born in 97. I'm 25.
Oh, he was born in 97. That's the same year my daughter was born.
Okay.
I just
We
want
don't
to know.
have no house. We
Feeling like an old
each
ass
individual
man.
is held
What you saying,
responsible.
what?
Yeah, I'm feeling like an old man up here.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm 25.
You in your 50s, right? That's not old.
I'm not in my 50s. I'm 48.
Well, I'm 60. I'm 60 years old.
He just took my life and threw my
I'm 48.
I'm 60.
I was like,
And I've been here since I was
Yeah.
9. So I'm
Yeah.
I just made 60.
That's baby.
I'll tell you, I could tell you this, right? My name is Sunez Allah, right?
Mhm.
I would say this, and I think what makes great people out of this nation, and if I have the opportunity to teach some of them, right, like Gabriel, right, we actualize everything that we see as right and exact. So if we say that the black man is God, when there's no black man to wait for, there's no black man to wait for.
What does that mean?
In other words, if we say that the black man is God, it's that black man right now. So if Sam comes into the classroom, though, there's nobody else that is higher than him. It's him. He's him right now. You see? And this really is the reality of what Allah was doing. So when Allah left the mosque, though, there had to be no confusion. He's going to teach that the black man is God, and it won't matter who he tells. It is a truth that will be freely told to those he sees that could understand it. And then the next thing is who can understand the teachings the most, which is something that goes way beyond any of the ancient teachings that I have ever studied. In all my martial art disciplines and everything, the teachings of man is God is a regular teaching. The deeper you get into these teachings of Chan, Zen, Sufic orders, but the one difference is that they did not teach children. So even Mallah would be youthful in any of these ancient texts. You know what I mean? Because they didn't teach him at 48, they didn't teach him at 58, they taught him at 60. Confucius started to teach though in his 60s. So all of those jewels that he dropped, the Analects, right? They're called the Analects, the Confucius teachings and all that, right? The Great Learning, which is my favorite. Those were all after that age. But the father was teaching the children. This is never, if it was done before, it was never done successfully. And for the father to do that, though, means that he took on the egos of young men, the egos, the possibility of this teaching being egotistical pace, right? And all of that going astray and being ruined. So if I could say something is that anyone that comes into this classroom, though, I cannot be responsible for how they live out whatever it is that I share, but I am responsible for how deftly and how concisely and how pure I share it. So that way they say, when they leave, they say, this is crazy. I am never going into that Sunez's class again. But they know exactly what I just told them. That we spend our times here showing and proving scientifically, historically, with every measure that we have, that we are the true and living God. And every time we leave the classroom, we still don't believe it. We continue to show and prove it, and we continue to apply it, to live it out.
Wait, you say you don't believe it?
I never believe anything. Everything that I know is because I know it. Right? Just like I know that I know that you're an incredible engineer.
Yes.
Right? I don't believe that because I know it. I've seen it. I've heard it. So this is the same thing. When we know this knowledge of self, we actually know it. We don't believe it at all.
Got you.
Right? There we go. I know you got me. Right? So the student that comes in here, the people that we deal with, all the elders that have taught us, so they never said you have to do this, you have to be that. All they did was give us the tools and the form to be that. They gave us the responsibility, and they expected us to do certain things. And with that, the question of when we look up at the sky and we go, what if God would save us? So it becomes our creator question. I always say that the question of the creator is what if. Every time you make something, you make a poem, Sam writes a rhyme, a verse, everything. The question in your mind is always, what if? What if I did this? What if I created that? What if this worked this way? So that question stays in those students that I share this with.
Wait. I'm sorry.
Bill.
I don't do that. I don't do the what ifs, never. I don't do that. I just say I'm in the present moment and that's it.
What's your name, bud?
My name is King David.
Peace.
Peace. But what I say is, whenever I have a question, why, I learned from Brown Poobah. He said, why equals self. And I say, go inside yourself. I don't do the what if, I don't do that one, sir. But you are my teacher.
Let me build.
Teacher.
When I'm saying this about what if, right, is because every time you build, what once was will not be, right? So when you create something, right, let's say we create this chair, it was not there before, you see? And somewhere in your mind, you may not have overtly said the words, what if? That's not what I mean, okay? What I mean, though, is the search and possibilities. And for the student, though, there's infinite possibility, you see? And it's a combination of what? Preserving this teaching and also being daring and innovation that makes the student something here. We're asking them to preserve these teachings, the truth that we've proven, the supreme mathematics, the supreme alphabet, to live out the supreme mathematics as a reality.
Amen.
But we're also asking them, that's peace, but we're also asking them to daringly innovate, to do things that we necessarily might not even have thought of. That's why we say the babies are the greatest, because they do stuff and we're like, wow, I didn't even think it could be done that way.
Especially with a lot of new modern technology, they provide.
That's a fact.
Exactly. You know?
That's a fact.
So if I had
using certain things,
if I had to sum it up, it would be that. So I know, let's say like with my students, like the ones you mentioned, like Robriel and stuff, I never told them you have to be God. I told them that you are the true and living God, and here are some of the proofs. You go test them, because what I said, I don't believe. I went through these proofs. You go see if they're true. You see? And so they understand that with this knowledge of self, there's a responsibility that everything that is created, you have some type of hand in it. You have some type of connection to it, you know, historically and realistically. And so that reality of God is being responsible for everything that is around you, you know? And they leave with that. If they listened well.
I'm sorry.
I don't always have students that listen well.
Now, I haven't seen you in 5 years.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
And I haven't been in New York City in 3 years. I went off the grid, partially I was apprehended for part of it. I had to sit down. And in my solitary confinement, I learned a lot. Peace of mind. So when you say chair, that's material, physical world. I don't do that no more. I'm in a different world. I'm in an energetic world. If somebody say spirituality, I would say energy. So that's why maybe with them disconnect a little bit, but
The
I
chakras.
but I love you and I feel you. But I don't do the material world like that no more. I'm still here, and that chair's still there.
When we teach the babies, right? We want to tell them that this whole world, this reality, this ethereal world, what they don't see and everything, they created it though. But my daughter doesn't understand that unless I tell her that
Say it
she
again.
created it, right? She has to understand by showing that these physical things are a reality that we created also. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm simplifying things.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
I mean, basically you're saying the exact same thing.
Basically.
I was not apprehended, but I was in a psychiatric hospital for 30 days, so I know what it's like to be alone. And basically what you're saying is, with you, it kind of sounds like you're in the energetic realm.
That part.
But energy is matter. I studied environmental sciences for 5 years at St. John's. So, with that, what he's saying is the belief in the unseen that creates the seen. But I also was a pre-K teacher for a year. Children are visual creatures. I cannot tell a child about energy. That does not make sense.
Right.
However, at this age, 25, when the prefrontal cortex is fully developed, now we can start to really build. So I can talk about how we have a role in creating. So the black man as God is true for a myriad of reasons. Archaeologically, which I studied in college, we are the oldest. With time comes wisdom. That's why the grandparents are the wisest in the family. Now, the black man is the oldest man on the planet. Civilization started with black men. So that makes him God, because if he's the oldest, that means he's responsible for the creation of everything. And people say, oh, white people were in Europe. No, Scotland was named after Scotia. Scotia was a black princess.
I thought the black woman was the first one.
No. But the point matters. You're saying the exact same thing in two different languages. It's like you're speaking English and he's speaking Spanish. You're saying the exact same thing.
And I speak both. But
I
listen,
do too.
But listen, you just said something, but I just went to a wake yesterday, and I was able to communicate to a little girl that that's just a show. He's here in your heart. And she got exactly what I was saying. So we can talk energy with them. We can.
No, we can't. How much you think that you can? We absolutely can. It depends on the vessel. So we're talking about vessels. Some vessels are ready. Some are not. But the point is, the black man is still the vessel through which the Spirit of God lives, which makes him God. It's not his flesh that makes him God. No more than me being darker than you. It doesn't make you any less of a God, just right as me. So God is God.
It's also his mind saying how he live it out.
Exactly. So when I look here, even when I look around the room, everybody here is significantly older than me. So that reflects something as well. Any organization, when I come into any organization, I've been to plenty of organizations, not just NOI. The first thing I always look for is the age, because that tells me the future. So I'm looking to see where's the young people.
We're happy. We're
They are young
you're here.
people.
We're very happy you're here.
They are young people that come around, but it's not that many children come around.
It's not an hold on. Let me finish. It's not an attack.
No.
It was
It's not
an
an attack. I didn't see
observation.
it as an
No, we didn't
attack.
see
It
that.
was just an observation.
We're just saying we're very happy you're here.
No, I'm happy to be here. That's why I came in. But what I'm saying is, I'm listening and I'm hearing wisdom. That's why I'm here. I'm attracted to wisdom. So I came in here to hear the exegesis of these teachings. I wanted to hear it articulated not from a website. I wanted to hear it from here.
You're attracted to wisdom because you are wisdom.
Exactly. It's called in physics, the law of attraction. You attract what you are. So if the
But
black man,
opposites attract
I'll never
hold
consider
on,
myself
hold
a
on.
wizard.
The law of attraction,
Old teachers don't teach that.
the law of
You
attraction
don't.
starts with the black man.
Mm-hmm.
Even the black man in the ghetto, he's running the world because people in China are buying Jordans. Every culture in the world is a subset of the culture of the black man
That's
in
true.
America.
They
So
want to be like
even at his weakest state, he is still God. God, even if you put an adjective, I'm an English teacher, even if you put an adjective in front of a noun, it doesn't change the meaning. So he's a God who's been destroyed and weakened, but a weakened God is still a God. God is God, doesn't matter.
That's like Pop says, even as a crack fiend mama, you still with a black queen mama.
There we go.
Now that's the
true.
most strongest bar I've ever heard in my life, sorry. And I hear what you're saying. And I travel all over the earth. The black man is God
Everywhere.
everywhere. Except here.
everywhere.
He still is, but he still is God here. Because God, if God is the supreme being, that means he has reign over all other beings. There is no other being higher than him. God does not have a jurisdiction. His jurisdiction is the universe.
So what do you think about the earth? What they call the woman, the black woman, the earth royal queen. I don't consider myself a wizard. I was never taught that.
What do I think about that? When they call the woman the earth, when you till the earth, you reap a harvest. When you educate a woman, you will cultivate children who bring in the new world and will be able to educate those who are younger than us. I don't mean younger in age, I mean younger in race. The white race is a young race. They're new. That's why they know what they're doing. That's why they go into submarines and try and figure out what's at the bottom of the ocean. Why would you do that?
Oh, why?
They're young.
$50,000 to see the
Because I'm
Titanic,
from the
right?
bottom
Just
of
for
the
some
ocean.
opportunity.
Atlantis.
That's fine.
That's why.
But you're not in a submarine.
No, but they want
Exactly.
to.
That's why God would never do that. God would never do that because God already knows what's down there. Why would you go looking for what you already know?
Them devils just want to make money. Who's going to pay $250,000?
No, they want to get what's in my. In one of my previous cities, they want to get my gold and get all my shit. That's what
Yeah,
they
but
want.
at the same time, look at one of our ancestors. Mansa Musa had so much gold that he gave it away and the price of gold went down. We don't worship material things
Yeah,
because we are the greatest material thing. And the black woman is the earth. She's the field through which all the gods come. You cannot have any harvest without proper soil. I studied agriculture.
That's true.
So that's why they call
Earthly
Earthly Jewels is my friend. I've known it since I was 12 years old. That's why they call the women the earth. But you must tend to the earth.
They
I
call them
cannot-
queens too. They call them soya. They have different names.
I cannot buy food from New York because the soil is a mess because of the acid rain. So in order to garden in New York, you must have a raised bed of soil. So that's why they have farmers markets. So at the end of the day, I gotta get ready to go, but at the end of the day, the black woman is the earth. You need her. Her womb is the portal through which
You know.
Will she bear
we
life?
come
He
into
married.
life.
I see it. I
He
see
knows
it.
that. That's why he lives.
I know
I
that.
see it.
I mean,
You asked me a question that
You still on? They still there after 7:00? Because you said.
oh yeah, they stay on as long as I leave it on. But yeah, you asked me a question that I could harp on. It's I've taught hundreds of students through this classroom. So like to give immediate answers of what makes them great and stuff like that. I don't know if I could take all the credit for that. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if, and I do know that most of the elders don't take all the credit for the greatness that they have taught. They see this knowledge as true. So when they teach it as sincere as possible, though, they really just saw that people were being great. When we teach it to people, let me just say this part here. When we teach it to people, the mentality is more that this person, however long they didn't have the knowledge, that they were being corrupted that long. And that we're helping to give them something that they deserved a long time ago.
exactly.
So I think it's the rigors of being wholly responsible for it though, that have produced such greatness.
I call it divine timing.
There we go.
And I call it you're a piece to the puzzle. Me, when you met me, like I was doing my thing, but then you took me to it. Even though I only went to your class a few times, but that's all I needed to go to another level.
This piece.
And life is a video game with one deadly man. It was at Jizzle. I'm trapped in the deadly. You can't
Well,
remember.
you love Wu-Tang.
Yeah, I love it. And so it's just divine timing, my brother.
But how was you applying that in real time? See, we can talk that divine time, we can talk that spirituality, but how do you
Divine
apply
time
that?
is also happening
How
right
would you-
now because,
exactly,
pardon me,
but-
because like today, when I came in this room, it was just him and then the other guy was here. Besides Sunez, I don't know his name, so I can't say anything.
You
And
talking
everyone
about
else
right
started
here?
coming. Yeah.
Why? Go real.
What's your question? I'm sorry.
Yeah, Rio.
I said, how was you applying
And
that
then
in
she came in here,
real
so
time?
now it's two women. But I never
Well-
consider myself a wisdom the way that I learned, so everybody has it different when they say the word is
I'm
wisdom.
saying like,
I wasn't
I'm
taught
saying
that.
socially, politically, culturally.
I'm old school to a certain extent.
I'm more of a practical father-center.
My name is David.
I'm a law divine.
Nice to meet you.
Everybody know you will love.
So when I look at the teachings, I look at like
You wrote a book, right?
four.
Good to see you.
Four, right?
Good to
I
see you.
remember one of your books, and I remember your build at Majestic Kindle Service.
With my brother,
Because
that's-
K Mel is my cousin husband and my cousin's father,
Yeah.
so I know all
Oh, yeah,
that going
good.
on all the time. Obviously,
Indeed,
So my
Wait.
last book, Struggle Was Real, is named after the organization. It's a book of poems. Because he was a poet. Most people don't know
yeah,
that.
he was, because also was Bishop that returned that was in a wheelchair.
So since, you know, the last book I published was last January. Was
Okay,
named
indeed,
after
guys,
the
indeed.
organization for me to show my
The
honor.
struggle is real, that's beautiful.
I was in the studio. All right.
And K Mel got his organization, One World.
Came out funny. He is,
He's funny,
yeah,
I
he's
speak
a
that.
comedian. He's like, is he
They
a
get ready to go to
comedian?
Panama. The organization from July 21st to July 25th. Jada Kissong gonna be there. My sister might go. You know Jakisha?
No. You with us? You already with us? Right?
You the oldest? Or she the oldest?
I'm the oldest.
Okay, then yeah, I know her.
Power room?
She the one with the glasses. She's dealing with the
The
politics. I don't deal with all that. I don't like politics.
I mean, like your politics. But
Peace.
you
Oh, it's really nice to meet you.
Thank you.
I'll be
Somebody
Likewise.
I'm the monster right there.
But I don't like the nation politics with this and that, different entities
The
and this.
monster's right there.
I
Oh,
like
the
that.
monster, the monster, the monster.
Sorry,
Since I
monster.
was
Sorry.
living
The monster's right there, so I'll probably stop by Saturday.
So you got 20
Okay.
years.
So you have questions?
I'm here every Thursday. I'm here every
What's
The
your
Thursday.
structure was different when I was there.
127 on
So it's a
127
big difference.
120.
Then after
When did you go there? And
So
whatever.
those who got it like
Sunday?
in the 90s and
Sunday
the
at 11 a.m.
2000s, it totally done changed.
But I can go there and pray anytime, right?
But the teachers also
No.
got more down to
You
it.
don't
It's
do the
different.
5 prayers?
They're not as strict as
So we're a
it used to
different
be.
type of monster.
Okay.
So
Mm.
Even
But
my
for
cousin
you, you can
Kahim
go
was
bring
saying
Juma
that,
prayer
because when we was younger
tomorrow
growing up, he had to learn.
The big guy
Yeah, that's my other
Sunday at
He's
11.
from Bush.
there you go.
Yeah, I
Bring
know.
somebody up.
Yeah,
Of course.
I never been to that facility.
but
More than one.
You from Bushwick too?
My name is David.
Where at?
Khadijah.
Woodbine.
Khadijah.
Khadijah.
That's the school 299 over there.
That's from
Muhammad's
Palmetto.
And Minister Park.
I'm,
But it-
I'm around the corner.
Isn't that
Woodbine is around
John
the corner.
Coltrane? White
So
man?
don't they
No,
also
no,
got
ain't
a funeral
right,
home
ain't
over there?
Yeah.
In
I usually
Toronto?
just tell people
Not
live
too
in
far?
single.
It's a
No, 299 is on
no,
Robert.
290. Oh,
Yeah,
you
Khadijah was
talking
who
about?
on
It's
that?
a
291 is on Robert.
291
show.
from Palmetto.
I don't know.
My
She was
aunt
one of
was
the
a guy in
girls.
Counselor Halsey, so I'm
Good
familiar
team
with
name
all
is
that.
Okay, so
I think
I'm
so.
from Bushwick.
I think
But you
somebody-
didn't go to,
I don't know. I never
I
seen
went
the
to
show, but every
grade
time I tell people my
Philip
name,
Pascal?
they usually
That's a
know.
good correlation.
That's a gift.
That's what I do.
Of course.
I get.
I got accepted there, but I ain't go there because the junior high school I went
There
to.
we go. I was named after
It
Minister
was
Park.
not that, the other junior high
I
school
know
I went
that.
to
I know
was
that.
predominantly a
I
lot
was
of
named after
Caucasians,
Minister Park.
so I already
John
had AP
Coltrane
classes too,
was
so it didn't matter.
Nothing like
Yes.
Philip Scholarship.
No,
for
but
gifted
this
and
Park
talented.
was
Yeah, but the
named
classes I was
after
in was for gifted and talented.
Yeah, but how many people
Oh, right,
used
right,
to
right, right,
network
right,
in
right,
that
right,
school?
It's a lot of them still do network.
I said
That's
you.
sorry. That's what I
That's
meant.
okay.
my name.
No, that's peace.
Yeah.
So I wasn't named after.
Like I said, yeah, so- I'm just like
I don't do
the
religion.
politics
I don't do that.
as far as it's
But
different levels. Like,
Islam
what's still with
is like
internally with the
discipline.
culture, like
That's fine. Who
I
was
was
that?
Dr. Wesley was
I don't have
atheist.
no,
So
like-
come on. I have friends
So
who are
you just
atheists.
And
wanted to come
Buddhism
here
is
and
my
get
practice.
no, I was
He was
I started my
And,
uncle was God.
My mom is
What's
named
yours?
Yemaya,
Nah,
and
my
my
uncle
dad is
from
named Father
Bed-Stuy.
Ton.
My people from Bed-Stuy originally.
And
Where, like Gates Avenue?
Nah,
I was in solitary
put him in
confinement
Franklin.
for 3 weeks.
My uncle got
I
shot
had
up and
a lot of
got and passed
downloads.
away. I like
they
to
never
see that
stopped.
story.
Me too.
where it's
They
like-
gotta
I
say
was
that.
in the psych ward.
You know what I mean?
Cause I bet you
So-
divine
They never
education
stop.
them knows.
No, it
So-
never stopped.
I don't have to be back in that place.
So
I'm
when I
never
got
going back to that place.
incarcerated, I got incarcerated.
But if I ever want to get that close again, I'd have to go to like Dominican
I like you
Republic,
talking about
and
the
then
outside.
Yeah, so
get a sleeping bag.
it was some young cat
You
that
gotta go
couldn't
that far?
read.
Well,
You was in like
why not?
Now,
You
long
ever
as
been
it was a
to
private
No,
prison,
my
that
best
came
friend.
Have you ever been there?
later.
All my students.
They never
Have you
would
ever
send
been
me to a long.
So that's why you say that. So yeah,
I
I
like
Oh,
like
the P.E.A.C.E. Are you Dominican?
No.
Yeah,
No,
but
he never
Lawrenceville
been
is a
anywhere.
Why you
private-
Puerto
Well,
Rican?
same thing. Same
private
thing.
prison.
You've been in
And
the beach in
Lawrence,
the
those
Cape.
people that go to
PR.
Lawrenceville, it's like
Yeah.
more of a place.
Same
now.
thing. I go to PR. I don't need a passport. Let's go PR.
That-
I go
it's-
to
it's
That's
PR.
true. There's a common law.
See, I've been home since
Sit in the
9
cave,
years.
with
I've been home in New
some
York,
bud,
not even
with
down
some
there.
drinks,
But Lawrenceville
and
it
swim,
was the
and
only
just
private
meditate,
prison.
and
It's interesting.
And
I mean,
my co-divine, he was in Lawrenceville.
I
They
wanted to
was-
let's go Maroon.
the code up in there.
The one
Well,
that
you're
was
powerful.
with me that do
There's no
show
need to
food.
go inside of a cave.
I don't know if it's with
Oh,
him.
you
My
said-
mind is a
okay, yeah,
I didn't
Shalom.
see it like
You're
that.
powerful.
His name is Shalom.
That's what I
What's
did.
the law?
So what I did was when I was in the psych
He's
ward, I
from
told
down
them to get
there.
out. Just told them what to do. So,
This
and
man-
I
You
did
know
it.
about Law King was and all of them?
No, what I'm saying
Because
is,
most
doesn't
of them
matter. I don't
Virginia
really
was
care
together
where
with him on
So I
Law
was in
King
a
was.
Law
monkey
King-
casket.
Law King
I'm
Mars
a
was
big
with,
habit.
the little short dude named was Boom.
Okay.
as long as they don't put
I'm
me
a
in this
born
casket,
I
I'm gonna make
was
it
down
happen.
there in North
Oh,
Carolina.
yeah.
I went to
Yeah,
that
I got it.
stuff.
Yeah, so
My
they-
favorite-
my-
Crazy.
yeah, my
Crazy that one.
yeah,
You
my
look
favorite,
at
my
this thing.
favorite
We took
rapper
a
is
few
P.E.A.C.E.
pictures, but,
Pop Smoke, so it's my favorite rapper.
He was at Lawrenceville
P.E.A.C.E.
temporarily.
He's in jazz and Rikers.
When it was like, when it first
What's his
opened,
favorite- what's your
Divine
favorite
Tower
bar?
was over. I never made it there.
I'm a stomper on a road step.
You
I'm
know
a
what I mean?
stomper.
And what it is now, I probably could have
So
managed
They
that.
getting ready to have some
Pop
laws
Smoke
going in.
is from Nubia, I think it's what it's called.
Some of the laws from Virginia about to go in there and get.
Where's he from?
He's from Canarsie.
Which guard?
They don't call that Nubia. do they?
Wait, hold on. What you said about Canarsie?
She said they call it Nubia.
It been Nubia.
Oh, I didn't know that. Did you know
What do
that?
you call East New York? That's right.
That's East Medina. It's a difference. Canarsie, I'm gonna tell you, it really starts on one end.
I like
When
her.
you pass-
She's a true New Yorker.
When you
She's
on
a
Williams
true New
Avenue,
Yorker.
that's East New York, because your zip code is 11207,
That's
like
my
right
zip.
across the Bushwick. I'm from East New York.
What about
Me too.
Wash Heights?
I'm from Star
What about
City.
Wash
I'm from
Heights?
Star City.
That's
They don't got
11239.
that
That's
one.
not really East New York anymore. That's like the borderline. My
And
family
then-
lives Star right, so I know exactly.
Yeah, I used to
Stroll is
play-
125. My cousin do everybody here, braids all the hair.
I used to
I'm
play in
excited
Linden
to
Park.
Why should take me home?
You mean Gershwin?
No, and
It's
then
Linden Park is Gershwin. That's Gershwin.
Inwood, Wash
and then I
Heights.
used to live at
Please,
384
Lord.
State.
I'm out here. I'm going down the block now.
That's P.E.A.C.E. guy.
At the neighborhood.
Because you said you got
Friendly
indoctrinated
Service.
by Kevin Muhammad. His partner was Timothy
Who that?
X.
That's
They brought
Sam
him
Hill?
back in the
Is
day.
that Sam Hill right there?
That's P.E.A.C.E.
Because I remember when
I'm
he
trying
got
to
the knowledge,
see
I was
if
young
I'm
because
tired.
Peace.
Father Divine taught him.
Well,
So
you were saying
and my
about
father
time.
didn't taught Father Divine.
What I do with time is
Certain things besides bulletproof
I'm right
teaching.
here,
So
right?
I've
I'm right
been
here,
around,
sir.
so I do
my,
know
my
certain
inner
things.
child is right there.
And he used to come with us to the park.
He's right
Kevin
here.
Muhammad was not
And
that
my
big
future
back in the
self is
day.
right
He was
here.
kind of stock.
And if we're not on the same page,
He loved the leather
Then something's
garments and he
going on.
I
always
heard you
was nice.
say
He
he was
wasn't well articulated.
away for a while.
The
Was he
reason why he
currently
told us
incarcerated?
that he left
Okay,
the
so
nation because it
I
was so
did- I
much
was
stuff
currently
that was going
incarcerated
on
one
when he
time.
was actually.
I mean,
saying,
I'm
"Yeah,
not-
I'm
it was
not-
supposed
I'm
to
not
happen.
upset you,
I was doing what I
never
was
so
doing.
bad.
That's-
I can tell you,
that's-
because I know what he
that's
told
another
me.
thing.
and
But
somebody
did
Janai.
almost 20 years, right?
What's your name?
When I was 32, I went to this
Because
compound.
little Naima is having a
It was
party
like
tomorrow.
the only compound I've been on where it was like a lot
You
of
call her
people dealing
Naima
with
L, the
all
short one?
type of esoteric spiritual science
The
and
one
stuff
with the
like
baby
that.
hair, not the old
And
does
one.
I've seen
karate.
so many people
Yeah, that's
lose
her.
their mind.
Yeah, she grew up
Lose
under
their
my
mind, 'cause
mother.
they're not, it's not,
Not
they
even
don't
been
not
around
grounded
since
in
around
reality. When people
77.
studying at the
Yeah, she had
Theosophical
boys.
Society, with
Princeton,
down the
y'all know
Baptist
that
School, to the Golden Dawn, which I did the nine, to all that, just so I can understand where individuals
It's just
coming
peace
from.
in the
At the end of the day, our enemy can care less about that. See, me, I'm like this. Maybe my child will have the luxury to be dealing with that. But right now, I don't have the luxury. Like
no,
I
I
said.
did it.
You know what I mean?
God, I'm here, God. I'm very grounded. I can't even see this man. I'm very grounded. And I'm a swimmer, so I go to the beach a lot. I live in Florida, so I touch the sand. I'm very grounded.
It's too hot out there in Florida. What
Yeah,
water
You
flow.
don't want
It's
to be there
hot.
now. You don't want to be there right now.
Yo,
Yeah, listen.
I was already influenced.
So I'm very grounded, but I'm also on a high note. Balance. I want yin and yang. I'm on a high note. I'm turned up, but I'm very grounded, sir.
He's
I'm very
turned
grounded.
up.
That's peace.
So I respect you for saying that. I respect you for saying that because you're concerned about me. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
He's just on a whole different energy plane.
Yeah,
You know?
now,
build. We
now I gotta
definitely
go
build.
convince one of my
I
Cause
gotta
he
build
probably
that
deal
too.
with like
You know the man back there?
chakras too. You deal with the chakras and everything,
Yes,
the
yes.
kundalini, the forces, the energy
Yes,
from.
yes.
Okay.
You practice qigong?
Not so much, but I would love to.
Yeah.
I would love
All right.
to.
Where's your family from here?
Probably
My
like
I didn't say
grandma's
anything about
Haiti.
spirit, energy,
My mom is Dominican.
life
and my
force,
dad's
A.K.
he's called
Adams.
Cashmere.
Okay, so I'm assuming
Well,
King that was for
Haiti and
somebody
Dominican
else.
Republic was what's one island together called his.
I'm gonna let everybody go.
It's still,
This
it's
class
still,
is
it's still there.
finished,
They don't even want.
but there's a
some
lot that we was
Haitians,
building.
the
I kind of went to
Dominican
a lot of people came in. Anybody that has any questions, please ask me.
With someone in the middle, but now
You got a good example of how people come in that you don't know is coming in and how to speak to them
but he's from
But-
and how to answer their questions and what that reality is. You know what I mean? And also dealing with I'm gonna say veterans with this knowledge and how to deal with their gripes and issues. You know what I mean? So, a lot to think on, a lot to analyze and stuff like that. So until thank you, yo, Sid. You definitely had to be the lowest today. But
Right here.
please contact me until next week. I will be here again. Okay. All right.
No, yeah, you might be right. That's a Cashmere.
Right.
You might be right.
Flows.
But
Peace to
we
the
had
God.
those
Peace to the earth.
wars.
Peace to everybody.
My
Email
dad
me.
was here.
Text me so we can build. All right.
How was the show?
But it's Cashmere. I
They
don't see
fucking
it
both
on
got
here.
canceled.
So
One,
that might, that,
it was a
Roy Cash-